Hi William, hope you're doing okay. I'm just going to try and get this set up if I can. How can I do that without... I've got my charger in, you see, so sorry about that. Is that going to be alright? Morning, hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Hi Emma. Hi Lisa. Hi Becky. Hi Carla, hope you're doing well. Oh, this is an impromptu live stream. I didn't plan to do it. Well, I did, but not. I haven't advertised it, and that's because it seems, it gives them chance to potentially manipulate the live. So, what I'm going to be doing is talking a little bit about some of the evidence that I've acquired recently, which includes Sweeney Todd, which is becoming very relevant in all of this, and also I'd like to talk about the potential threat from directed energy and how it links in with the lead paint, removal of lead from paint, and also how it ties in with potentially the microwave oven side of things. Let's see if I can get this. I'm just going to hold it. I'm just trying to keep it still. So. Hi Helen, hope you're okay. Hi Jennifer. It's been an emotional Epstein read. Oh, you've been reading all the files, have you? I haven't actually seen a lot of them. Yeah, I can imagine there's some quite opening information in a lot of those files. We've got to remember they're controlling that information, so there's going to be a bigger deception in all of this. Control of the information, how they manipulate that is their biggest weapon. And of course, they're releasing it. The ones behind what you're reading are actually the ones releasing that evidence. So, right, and what I'm going to start with is, let's start with the Sweeney Todd evidence, because that's obviously quite impactful for everybody, isn't it? With the whole children aspect of this, apparent children aspect. And then I'm going to move on to the information I found in relation to the microwave ovens and how that ties in with the potentially the removal of the lead paint and cell towers and CERN, how it all sort of potentially links in together in all of this. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired at the moment. Seems to be getting tired a lot, actually, and other people have been saying exactly the same thing. So I don't know whether that means they've increased something for cell towers. I don't know. I mean, obviously the emotional side of this for everybody is going to have an impact on everybody's energy levels with everything that's coming out at the moment. So that's also going to be affecting people, I would have thought. Sounds muffled. Sorry. Thank you. Someone's just messaged me. I think I had my finger over the. I keep doing that, don't I? Sorry. Hopefully that's better now, Kaylee. Hopefully that's better now. My last two 12-hour streams disappeared. I had hours of you restreaming in both. They've removed them, have they? There you go. So that's why this document is absolutely critical, because they'll struggle to control the document, you see. So any of you that haven't already requested it, then you need to request it, and you can do that on my email, which is GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. That's Gary with one R, TheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. I still haven't sent it out yet, so many people have been waiting weeks for it. I do apologise, it is coming, but obviously I'm trying to get all of this information in so I can then get the document out, and then I can decide what I do from that point on. And I've got some ideas on what I'm going to be doing potentially, and I need to think very carefully about it. So anyway, Sweeney Todd, and this is thanks to somebody else actually. I'd already thought about it. I wonder if it's going to be relevant, and then maybe 3 weeks ago someone said, "Oh Gary, have you looked into Sweeney Todd?" And then it was from then that I sort of looked into it a little bit. So Sweeney Todd is a fictional character who first appeared as the villain of the Penny Dreadful series, The String of Pearls. Now, some of these things I'm saying becomes relevant in the Company's House research. So you've got String of Pearls and obviously Sweeney Todd. That was between 1846 and 1847. So that is just after the Company's House Register was created in 1844. Also, remember the Young Men's Christian Association, YMCA, was also founded in 1844, which is all relevant in this. So this is 2 years afterwards that this series was based with Sweeney Todd. 1847, which is the year after this, or around the same, because this was between 1846 and 1847. 1847 is when they created the founded the, what's it called, Siemens was founded, okay, which is massively linked into all of this, and that ties in with the Nazi deception in all of this, and it was actually linked to the Nazi regime, and they set aside $50 million, I believe, a year in bribery money to expand that organization around the world, and that links directly with Jeffrey Epstein. And what I mean by that is Jeffrey Epstein funded the Edge Foundation, and one of the directors of the main Siemens company is also a director of Edge Foundation, so it makes that link into Siemens. It's a hugely important company. So that was founded in 1847. So the original tale, Sweeney Todd, became a feature of the 19th century melodrama and London legend, A Barber from Fleet Street, an address featured throughout the fraud. In my research, Todd murders his customers with a straight razor and gives their corpses to Mrs. Lovett, his partner in crime, who bakes their flesh into meat pies. The tale has been retold many times since in various media. A scholarly annotated edition of the original series was published in volume form in 2007 by the Oxford University. Now, this is very relevant. 2007 is when Madeleine McCann went missing and when Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited was incorporated, which obviously creates massive links into me and how I'm sort of seem to be at the centre of this. Now, Oxford University is also important. Oxford is where the Maxwells were very prominent. Ghislaine Maxwell and Robert Maxwell, that's where they lived. So this was called the Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, edited by Robert Mack. This was the same year, as I've said, that Madeleine McCann went missing. I've already mentioned that. Research shows that the Ghislaine Maxwell has been connected to the Kit Kat Club. This becomes relevant, okay, because research shows that the origin of the name Kit Kat Club is a bit unclear, but in 1705, Thomas Hearn wrote the Kit Kat Club got its name from Christopher Catling, in brackets, note, a pudding pie man. Other sources give his surname as Cat, as some variants such as Cat or Cat with a K, K-A-T-T. John Timms, club life owner, Ophelia Field, in brackets, the Kit Kat Club. John Mackey, A Journey Through England. Well, there you go. We've already got that. Was that John Mackey? Oh, no, that's Robert Mack. Sorry. Oh, sorry. A nickname for Christopher is Kit. There's a reason I'm saying all of this. Christopher Cat was the keeper of a pie house. Remember, this links into the Kit Kat Club, which ties in with Ghislaine Maxwell, and we're going to see how this potentially links in with Sweeney Todd. So Christopher Cat was the keeper of a pie house. Now, immediately you have the acronym there for the Paedophile Information Exchange, okay, PIE, Pie House, all right, which linked to the National Council for Civil Liberties and MPs that are still in position at the moment. They were affiliated to the Paedophile Information Exchange, PIE. Okay, that also links in the research of that via the Company's House records, ties in with the World Trade Center disaster and the removal of a company name from a document, and that company is Westco Nominees. Well, that links to Companies Made Simple, and that document makes the connection to the World Trade Center disaster, the National Council for Civil Liberties, Larry Silverstein's real estate, who acquired a Liberty grant after the World Trade Center disaster, okay, and it ties that in with the Paedophile Information Exchange. So we have this pie house. It was in Shire Lane by Temple Bar, which was then located in Fleet Street. So you had the Temple Bar. Now the Temple Bar is what the solicitors go under. Okay, it's all tied in with this, everybody. All right, and the Temple Bar in these locations back in the day, according to the research, it was where they used to go and drink, and also have pies. They used to eat what they claim was mutton pies, I believe. Okay. Now, Fleet Street, where the Temple Bar was located and links to the Kit Kat Club, is where Sweeney Todd's premises was. Okay. And this was where the club originally met, the Temple Bar, which was located in Fringe Street, in Fleet Street, sorry, in London, was where the club originally met. So where the Kit Kat Club originally met, which ties to Ghislaine Maxwell, which means she links into the Temple Bar on the solicitors side of this, okay? And the pies and the potential what might be being put in those pies. Anyway, his famous mutton pies were called Kit Kats, okay, so which is where the Kit Kat Club would have come from. They were named after him and formed a standing dish at meetings of the club. The pie is thus itself sometimes regarded as the origin of the club's name. The location links historically to members of the legal profession and high-profile people. The Kit Kat Club and the Temple Bar, which was originally in Fleet Street, where Sweeney Todd was based. A search for Sweeney Todd on the company's house through Google reveals Sweeney Todd Group Limited that was incorporated on the 18th of July 2019, 12 days after Jeffrey Epstein was supposedly arrested. It has Jonathan Sweeney with an address of The Blade and Hill Dixon LLP of an address in Manchester on its incorporation document. Interesting, The Blade. Well, they used, obviously in Sweeney Todd, they used a blade, didn't they? A razor blade to kill their victims. So this has The Blade, Jonathan Sweeney of an address, and it has The Blade address within the address on this document linking to Sweeney Todd. Okay, and it also has Hill Dixon LLP, which we're going to come to in a minute, in Manchester. A separate search of Hill Dixon LLP on that incorporation document shows that it was incorporated in 2005 and links immediately to the fraud by Pearl Assurance House on its incorporation document. That's used throughout the fraud and appears to be a mockery of the Sea of Pearls, which links back into Sweeney Todd. So this is probably where I've been seeing Pearl House all over the place. That's probably why they put it within the addresses, because it's a mockery linking back into Sweeney Todd and the Temple Bar and Ghislaine Maxwell and everything else that we're seeing. So we have this Pearl Assurance House, which I think is a mockery of the Sea of Pearls, linking in to Sweeney Todd. It has over 400 people connected in the people record of this company, Hill Dickinson, and it has a registered address of St Paul's Square, Liverpool, which is used throughout the fraud. The directors of Hill Dickinson LLP make major connections to the fraud, to the royal family, to the BBC, and just huge areas now connecting in from this Sweeney Todd company, and that's because there's these following various companies including Hallowell's LLP, which links from the directors of the Dickinson's company, which is tied to Sweeney Todd. Knowsley companies on there linking with Independent Office of Police Conduct, Evershed Sutherland International LLP, which links back into the Vatican via my research, Bevan Britain, which links to, that's tied to councillors in Bournemouth area or Dorset area. It's actually Christchurch, but which is still part of Dorset. Hamlins LLP, Irwin Mitchell LLP, DLA Piper. These are all basically solicitors firms, okay? And they all tie in, they're all connected to a company called Field Fisher. And Field Fisher is the solicitors with the contract with the BBC. Okay, and they link in with the royal family, major area, all centralized. So this tells you all of the solicitors and the legal side of things is centralized in via the directors into the Temple Bar, linking in with Sweeney Todd and the potential contents of those pies and what they may be, and how that links into the paedophile information exchange. Within there, just to give you some more examples, you have this is all linking in, okay, via the directors of Hill Dickinson LLP, which is, remember, on the incorporation document of the Sweeney Todd Group. You've got Shoesmiths, another solicitor. You've got Addleshaw Goddard, which is just featured actually in some other research I've done. Squire Patton Boggs, St Paul's Companies. Remember, we had the St Paul's address there. Lindisfarne Companies, making the link potentially to the Iona prophecy, because that's the Lindisfarne is the name of the island off the coast of is it Lincolnshire or Northumbria? I can't remember. It's off the northeast of England somewhere. There's an island called Lindisfarne. It's also called Holy Island. Well, that links in with the Archbishops of Canterbury, and that ties in with the Iona prophecy of the end of the world, which was a prophecy made by St Columbus, who originated from Ireland back in, I can't remember the year, but it was quite a few centuries ago. And he made the prophecy there'd be a beam of light off the coast of Scotland or near Iona, signifying the end of the world. And you have these Lindisfarne companies within this. Okay, you also have a youth zone company connected to this, which links to the Serious Fraud Office. All right, I'd already linked this to one of the former heads of the Serious Fraud Office. It's also got Pinsent Masons linked into this company. This is all coming in, as I've said, from the directors of Hill Dickinson LLP, which is on the incorporation document of the Sweeney Todd Group. Okay, making this link to Sweeney Todd. You have Brabner's LLP. You've also got the Solicitors Family Law Association, so linking into the family law courts. Roderick James Palmer connects this company, Hill Dickinson's LLP, to Marine Systems Limited, that was incorporated in 1991, and it dissolved in November 2024 as the exposure continued. And it has an address of Highfield Court, Tollgate, Chandler's Ford, Eastleigh in Hampshire, which is used throughout the fraud. And this is where Deborah Fleming, who initiated my removal from Exbourne Manor for refusing to file forged bank documents continuously against all of them, continued to refuse to do it. That's where she was the NHS Chief Executive for the area of Hampshire, Isle of Wight and Dorset. This company has John Pipes, which is featured throughout the fraud on its incorporation document, which appears to be forged. So they use certain names on the incorporation documents to centralize everything. So that's another good way of checking. Literally, it's a name. For example, one of them is Nigel Leonard Blood. They have Mavis June Latter. They have John Pipes is one of them, and quite like a few others that we can tell it's all connected via those same names used throughout this on the incorporation document, because it also then makes the other connections via the companies on there. In case we've mentioned that. David Alistair James Rintle connects Hill Dixon LLP, the same company. Remember, that's on the incorporation document for Sweeney Todd Group, including to 30 companies, including International Metal Industries Limited. That will be collected to IMI companies, which relates to the metal industry, and that links to the research directly of Peter Sutcliffe, the serial killer. So we now have a link to Sweeney Todd Group. It is practically immediately. It's because it's from the incorporation document, and that company now links in with Peter Sutcliffe, so the serial killer who was named the Yorkshire Ripper, where supposedly killed people in Manchester and area and Yorkshire. Rintle, this same director, also critically connects to Ingenious Film Partners 2 LLP. And that is shown on page 40 of the incorporation document of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, which links most areas of the fraud and also to my upbringing, because there's people that I grew up with that are linked practically directly to that same company, and that is linking to the royal family. Okay, so that's coming in from Sweeney Todd. So we now have a link via Sweeney Todd almost immediately to the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. That Ingenious Film Partners 2 also connects to my favourite movie, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, via James Cameron, because he links to Ingenious Film Partners. Right, and it creates a lot of links via that particular document for the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. So now we have this link to Sweeney Todd. A search for the String of Pearls, remember this is the name of the series in relation to the Sweeney Todd, on Company's House through Google reveals a String of Pearls Limited. It was incorporated in 2014 and it dissolved on the 23rd of July 2019, 3 weeks after Jeffrey Epstein's apparent arrest. It has Companies Made Simple on its incorporation document, which is the company that I was referring to earlier, making link to the Paedophile Information Exchange, or PI, okay, and to the World Trade Center disaster. So we now have a link back into that via String of Pearls, immediately linking back in to the Paedophile Information Exchange. Now, we do have to consider this was all set up for the right person to expose it. We have to consider that. But, you know, and I pray that a lot of it is deception and that the children aren't really being put in pies or whatever. I pray that's a deception to get somebody to come forward or a group of people to come forward. But at the moment, with the amount of evidence that we've got, we have to consider that it's all real and that the children are seriously suffering in this, and, you know, the most awful things are happening. And lots of people are talking about this now, obviously, since the Jeffrey Epstein files being released. Alexandra Georgina Francesca Giri, Giri, connects a String of Pearls Limited that was incorporated in February 2020 to, I haven't actually put the company name. That's really annoying, so I'll have to come back to that. A separate search for Giri for this person reveals Giri Construction Limited that has a registered address of 71 to 75 Shelton Street, Covent Gardens, London. This makes an immediate connection to the United Nations via this address, to NATO, to world leaders, to the World Martial Authority, which is linked to the rapid response groups, or affiliated to the rapid response groups who targeted me. That's the exact same address. Okay, so now we have a link into the United Nations and to NATO via Sweeney Todd, almost immediately. Sweeney Todd groups. Okay, the Sweeney Todd movie, starring Johnny Depp and directed by Tim Burton, was released in 2007. The same year that Madeleine McCann went missing, and that Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited was created. Research shows that John Christopher Depp, who was in the movie, born 1963, is an American actor, musician, and filmmaker. He is the recipient of multiple... Oh my goodness, sorry, I keep trying to read this from multiple accolades, including a Golden Globe Award and Screen Actors Guild Award, as well as nominations for 3 Academy Awards and 2 British Academy Film Awards. His films, in which he was often played eccentric characters, have grossed over 10.8 billion worldwide. Depp began his career as a musician, performing in several amateur rock bands before making his feature film debut in the horror film A Nightmare on Elm Street. That was in 1984. The film series that actually I remember most from my childhood, for whatever reason, I was able to watch, and this is probably deliberate, I was able to watch it, and it gave me nightmares for many years. And I honestly felt that Freddy Krueger in that movie was a real character. Well, now it's becoming relevant in all of this research that I'm doing, which was, I mean, you know, a lot of the stuff that's going on with me is divine intervention, I believe, or it was all literally planned, and I was, you know, it was arranged that I would watch that movie to lead to this point. I don't know. Anyway, a search for Johnny Depp, because I remember my family linked into all of the main people in all of this, and into CERN. A search for Johnny Depp Company's House through Google reveals Depp Limited. Okay, that was incorporated as Shoe Design and Trade Limited in 1999. Now remember, this all links in with the research of the Red Shoe Society from McDonald's, and also the Red Shoe Club linking into information suggesting the skin of the children is being put in shoes. And this ties in with my evidence where Prince Harry, from all of my evidence, appears to have worn the skin of Madeleine McCann in July 2019 at the time that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. That is what all of the evidence is suggesting. Before its name was changed in 2000. So this is Depp Limited. It was called Shoe Design and Trade in 1999, and its name was changed in 2000, the year before the World Trade Center disaster. It dissolved in October 2024 as I continued my exposure, and it links immediately to the fraud by 788 to 790 Finchley Road on its incorporation document. That is an address identified by Gordon Bowden, linking, and again, I'm starting to consider that Gordon Bowden was positioned to disclose this information and how it all relates to me potentially, but he'd identified that address and being the non-verification element of the Companies House fraud, where it was an empty address with nobody there, which means they can avoid any papers, litigation papers, being handed to any particular individuals in relation to any illegitimate activity. Junaid Ahmed connects Depp Limited to 8 companies, including Clothing Icon Clothing Limited, ICON Clothing Limited, that was incorporated in 2014 and has SHARPJ and Co Limited on its incorporation document. Now it's interesting because as I read this back, that I'm pretty sure makes a critical connection to some other research that I've just done, but I'll have to obviously publicise that later. I need to make that connection. A separate search for SHARPJ and Co Limited. Now that's interesting because that, if you put that together, that's Sharp. Now Sharp becomes relevant with the microwave ovens actually, but anyway, I'm digressing at the moment. I'll read what I know at the moment. Limited Companies House through Google, it reveals Sharp.J. Okay, and Company Limited. So slightly different, but almost it's going to be the same, obviously, because it's just abbreviations they've used previously. And this was incorporated on the 24th of September 1997, just over a month before Princess Diana's death. And so, some of you may have seen my live in the last couple of days. We've got, if it's obvious now that Princess Diana, if her death was real, is because of this. It's 100% certainty practically from the evidence I've now found, the latest evidence in particular surrounding the inquiries of the Princess Diana death. Every judge that was involved was compromised and links back into all of this, that did the inquiry in relation to her death. It connects immediately to the fraud by Keith Kahan, again of 788 790 Finchley Road on its incorporation document. Ahmed, this same director, also connects to Dress Code UK Limited. It was incorporated in 2008. It has Aston Giles Limited on its incorporation document that I had not seen before. Aston Giles Limited is also in the People Record and connects to 5 companies, including Temple Properties Limited. Remember, Temple is all the way through the research, and this links back into the religious element in all of this, and how this is all going to lead to some sort of spiritual conclusive agenda, linking in with the Vatican and everything else. And it's linked into the prophecies of the popes and all sorts. Anyway, Aston Giles Limited also connects to Bloodstone Properties Limited. Remember, this is all coming in from Depp Limited, that potentially links to Johnny Depp. I mean, we have to consider it does with all of this information. His name isn't there, but with everything else there, it's becoming relevant. And obviously he links in with Sweeney Todd. So we have this Bloodstone Properties Limited and Shahid Makbul. Remember, there's been no verification, so names could be being made up in this. Of that company, connects to 26 companies, including Clinic of God Limited. Bearing in mind we're talking about the falsified prophecies and how this links in with the spiritual agenda, we now have Clinic of God Limited that was incorporated on the 13th of January 2011, just over a month before the relative Christchurch earthquake in New Zealand. It connects immediately to the fraud again by 788 to 790 Finchley Road. Sorry, bear with me. Selkirk Kaglar Guven is the name. Connects Clinic of God Limited to XL Planet. Now, X is very important. Some of you may have heard of Planet X. Well, that ties in with the prophecies, or the made-up, speculated doomsday scenario of the end of the Mayan calendar from 2012, and that then ties in with 2012, and the end of the Mayan calendar links in with the CERN Collider experiment, which was called Atlas, on the 4th of July 2012, where they claimed to have discovered the Higgs boson, or God particle. Planet X also links into the doomsday speculation of the Mayan calendar, where they said it would either be caused, the end of the world may be caused at the end of the Mayan calendar by either a black hole appearing at the center of our galaxy, or potentially planet Nibiru, or X, colliding with Earth. And remember, who do we know that's massively linked to X? Elon Musk. Okay, and he actually, in 2022, when I was starting to expose all of this, that's when he started to acquire, but it's a collaborative acquisition. Okay, he started to acquire Twitter and changed its name to X. And in that same year, he wore a Baphomet at a Halloween party, and a Baphomet is the symbol of the Church of Satan. So we have this organization now that we've linked in, XL Planet Limited. I'm not saying it definitely relates to Planet X, but with everything else, we have to consider it. That was incorporated on the 7th of August 2012, just over a month after CERN claims to have discovered the Higgs boson particle. Okay, and as I've said, the research surrounding CERN and the end of the Mayan calendar that year connects to the research of Planet X. So we now have the timing of this is very likely going to be relative, but just to support it even more, it also has Yom Tov Jacobs on its incorporation document that makes absolutely critical connections throughout the whole of my research. Okay, a name on the incorporation document again. Research shows that Timothy Walter Burton, born in 1958, is an American filmmaker, animator and writer. He is known for a pioneering goth subculture in Hollywood, with his films employing a distinctive style that blends gothic horror and dark fantasy with whimsical and surreal elements. He has received numerous accolades, including 1 Emmy Award and nominations for two Academy Awards, a Golden Globe Award, and 3 BAFTA Awards. He was honoured with the Venice International Film Festival's Golden Lion for Lifetime Achievement in 2007, same year that Madeleine McCann went missing and the X-Form Manor was created, and France's Order of Arts and Letters in 2010. 2010 is when CERN Limited was incorporated on Companies House. Tim Burton was the person that directed a lot of the movies with Johnny Depp, and I think I'm pretty sure he directed Sweeney Todd as well. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's why I put it on here, but I haven't actually said it. Now, again, he also directed Batman, one of my other favourite movies from when I was a child. The original Batman with Tim Burton. I was a massive fan of that movie, to the point where I had a bit of a crush for Kim Basinger that was in that movie. So I had posters of her all over the place. And also, when did that movie come out? Tim Burton's Batman came out in 1989. Well, that's the year that the World Wide Web was created for CERN. Okay, it all ties in with CERN, all of this, everything. Okay, that we're talking about all links in with the collider technology, and how this links into the Vatican. Companies House search shows that Tim Burton is a person of significant control for a company called Stick Boy Limited that was incorporated in 2024. So as the exposure was continuing, they created this company with, they put him, he became a significant person of control. So this is deliberate. They're going to know I'm going to potentially find this, okay? You could speculate why they've done that, but it looks as though they're trying to get me to make these connections for whatever reason. Clay GBP Limited is on the incorporation document of this company. Nicholas Parkinson connects, remember we're talking about Stick Boy Limited. This is the company where Tim Burton is a significant person of control. And they connect to Clay GBP Limited, which we've just said about, where they were appointed in January 2019 on the lead up to the COVID deception. The company was incorporated as Clay 60 Limited in 2014, and its name was last changed in 2017 after the Pizzagate scandal became exposed. And again in May 2022, its name was changed, which is the month as I am making inquiries at Expour Manor. That's 2 months before Anthony Roberts resigned, triggering my whole investigation. It is a criminal company, this one that we're talking about, having been incorporated with the London Law Agency on its incorporation document. That makes direct links to Madeleine McCann, all right, because the London Law Agency connects to Madeleine's fund, leaving no stone unturned. All right, the company that was started after her disappearance. So we now have a direct link to Madeleine McCann from Tim Burton. That also links directly to Keir Starmer's Death Penalty Project Limited, which, if you look at the Death Penalty Project Limited, you see the London Law Agency on its incorporation document, and the founder of the London Law Agency died, according to an article that I've secured on the what date was it? The 5th of April 2020, during the COVID chaos, and that exact same day, Keir Starmer resigned from the Death Penalty Project Limited. So the day that the founder of the London Law Agency, which is on the incorporation document for Keir Starmer's company, died, when he died, Keir Starmer resigned on that same day. Okay, all tying in with this, linking directly with Madeleine McCann. C&A Company Secretarial Services Limited is in the people record of this company that we're talking about, and connects Clay GBP Limited to 186 companies, including Nigel Mansell Films. Okay, so we now have a link in with the famous race car driver Nigel Mansell, that was incorporated in 2017, and it dissolved in April 2022, which is as the exposure, when I was making inquiries at Expour Manor. Nigel Mansell now coming in from the research of Sweeney Todd via Tim Burton. C&A Company Secretarial Services Limited also connects to 911 Productions Limited. Now, this is very interesting. 911 Productions Limited. That was incorporated on the 1st of November 2012. Now, I can tell you it's pretty obvious that the World Trade Center disaster was planned well in advance of when it happened. Very long time ago. Everything is planned in advance. All of these big events that we're seeing has been planned, or there's some sort of element of time manipulation going on. But at the moment, I'd go with that they are pre-planning everything that's going on. So this was incorporated on the 1st of November 2012, which is the same year that CERN discovered the Higgs boson or God particle. Remember, this is called 911 Productions Limited. And it is a criminal company, again, with a London Law Agency on its incorporation document. So this links 911 Productions Limited to Keir Starmer, to Madeleine McCann. Okay. Also, it links to the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, because the Bates, Wells and Braithwaite's organisation ties into all of this, and links both Keir Starmer's company and Madeleine McCann's company to the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. And that links most areas of the fraud. And remember, Ingenious Film Partners is on the incorporation document, which means this now links Tim Burton, because remember, we had Ingenious Film Partners 2 earlier coming in from Sweeney Todd. This now links Tim Burton to Sweeney Todd. Okay, to the Sweeney Todd group that we've just been talking about. Ingenious Film Partners links to my upbringing from that incorporation document. So, what else was I going to say? Bates, Wells and Braithwaite that we've just mentioned, linking all those companies together, is also the defence lawyer used by P. Diddy in the investigation against him from 2024. So it now links into the P. Diddy side of things. And there's loads of other connections into P. Diddy. It's obviously because of all of this that I'm exposing, quite blatantly. So we're still on Sweeney Todd at the moment. There's lots of stuff I need to look at, but we'll carry on because there's a few people on here. So you've got CNA Company Secretarial Services Limited, also connects to Q Moving Pictures, KEW, and Q Media Companies make important connections to the Mazzini and earthquake connections that I'd already made. Okay, so you've actually got Q companies tying into Italian earthquake companies that I'd identified, linking into an actual Mazzini Garibaldi company, which makes the link to the Albert Pike letter written to the head of the Illuminati, Mazzini, in 1871, setting out the 3 World War deceptions, the year after the apparent takeover and infiltration of the Vatican of 1870. So you actually have these links now coming in from Tim Burton, okay, into all of this. And that also, around that element of the research, which is in another part of the document, so from the Mazzini earthquake companies, which it looks as though they've tried to potentially hide that connection or see if I could find it, because they removed that link and put it in the filing history, but within the filing history I checked and made that connection into it all. Well, from there is where you've got the Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, literally right there. Well, Portugal is where Madeleine McCann went missing. Within that Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, you have JP Morgan Limited. JP Morgan Limited connects almost immediately to Harry's Shoes, okay, where there was an article in July 2019 of Prince Harry wearing the same pair of shoes for a prolonged period of time. That's the same month that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. Okay, that JP Morgan Limited company connects to what's it called? World Wide Web Foundation. Remember, the World Wide Web was created for CERN by Tim Berners-Lee. Tim Berners-Lee is a director for World Web Foundation, and that links to JP Morgan Limited, where Harry's Shoes Limited is. That Harry's Shoes Limited company was incorporated within days, I think it was 11 days or 10 days after the World Trade Center disaster, and it changed its name to Harry's of London 6 days after Madeleine McCann went missing. Okay, now this earthquake connection that we're making here makes the link to the Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, to JP Morgan Limited, which is the Flemings. That then makes the link to Harry's Shoes Limited and the World Wide Web, which makes the link to CERN. Okay, so it all ties in together to Madeleine McCann, and this would explain, somebody's asked me to explain it a little bit more in a message. I mean, there's loads of evidence in relation to this, but this would explain why Julia Vandolt was positioned to make me believe that she was the real Madeleine McCann, to make me think she was alive, and then it would discount the possibility that her skin was actually used in Harry's Shoes during July 2019 when Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. So I believe she was positioned, Julia Vandolt. There's a lot of other evidence to suggest that she was trying to get me to believe that the end of the world would occur at the same time that other people were coming in, being directed to make me believe that the world was going to explode, potentially linking in with nuclear weapons. There's certain things that only Julia would speak to me about and nobody else. Okay, she's never met me, and yet she was telling me information that she only wanted me to know and not the world. And yet on all of her live streams she's talking about very controversial information, but not the stuff that would expose her as being a plant in relation to the bigger issue and how this ties in with Prince Harry. And of course this would explain exactly why Madeleine McCann is so important and why she's the most famous missing person in the girl in the world, because of what I'm telling you. It would make complete sense, wouldn't it, why they're highlighted, and potentially setting it up for the right person to make all of these connections and identify all of this. Anyway, this CNA company that we're talking about, CNA Company Secretarial Services Limited, also connects to Ali G Limited. Yeah, as in linking into the movie industry, Ali G. that was incorporated in 2000. This same company features in the research of the Iranian deceptive conflict. Okay, it links in with the leaders of Iran, or the research coming in from the leaders of Iran. So everything you're seeing in relation to Iran is a deception. The leaders of Iran are working collaboratively with Donald Trump, with Russia, with all of these world leaders, with China. It was set up a very long time ago. The Reformation was 700 years ago. This goes back to at least then. They've had the opportunity to position everybody around the world in relation to this. So everything you're seeing is a lie in relation to any risk of conflicts between world leaders. That's not to say they wouldn't use a fake conflict trigger as an event to lead into some other sort of deception. Now, I suspect potentially that nuclear weapons aren't even real. Don't know that for sure. At the moment, we have to consider that they're real. But, you know, the deception is vast in all of this. Anyway, this is already featured in the leader of Iran, this exact same company, Ali G. Now, Sacha Baron Cohen is in the people record of this company, and another record for him already been identified, links directly to Ingenious Film Partners 2. So he's the actor in the movie Ali G and other movies such as Borat, where he links straight to Ingenious Film Partners 2 LLP. Now he has an origin of, is it Palestinian? I think he's from a Palestinian background, which links into Gaza and everything that we're seeing around the deception surrounding Gaza and Israel. Remember, that links into the Balfour Declaration, which was in 1917, which involves the Rothschilds fomenting Israel. And this all links in with the Albert Pike letter to Mazzini of the Illuminati, linking in with the Vatican of 1871, which ties in to the sorry, I'm trying to read as I'm speaking. So the Rothschilds fomented Israel, and that deception around Israel is linked into the Mazzini document. Okay, if you read the Albert Pike letter to Mazzini document, it talks about World War III and how that links in with the deception surrounding Israel and Gaza. Well, let's talk about the microwave ovens and how this becomes relevant in everything. Just going back a little bit. So the research of the microwave ovens, or simply microwave, is an electric oven that heats and cooks food by exposing it to electromagnetic radiation, the microwave frequency range. The exploitation of high-frequency radio waves for heating substances was made possible by the development of vacuum tube radio transmitters in around 1920. By 1930, the application of short waves to heat human tissue had developed into medical therapy of diothermy. Okay, so they actually, from the microwaves, we also have this direct connection in to them using it on the experimentation of humans, claiming obviously it's in relation to medical practices. The cavity magnetron was a crucial component in the development of short wavelength radar during World War II from 1937 to 1940. A multi-cavity magnetron was built by British physicist Sir John Turton Randall, FRSE, and co-workers for the British and American military radar installations in World War II. This links into the microwaves. All right, so the microwaves are linked to the military industry. A high-powered microwave generator that worked at shorter wavelengths was needed, and in 1940 at the University of Birmingham in England, they developed a different type of the technology. Sir Henry Tizard travelled to the US in late September 1940 to offer Britain's most valuable technical secrets, including the cavity magnetron linking into the microwaves, in exchange for US financial and industrial support. And this was actually under an operation or an event called the Tizard Mission. An early 6 kilowatt version built in England by the General Electric Company Research Laboratories, Wembley, London, was given to the US government in September 1940. the cavity magnetron was later described by American historian James Finney Baxter III as the most valuable cargo ever brought to our shores. Now that suggests there is a more sinister agenda surrounding the microwaves. The most valuable cargo ever brought to our shores. Contracts were awarded to Raytheon. Now, some of you may have heard me talking about Raytheon, and we're going to come into that in a minute, and other companies for the mass production of the cavity magnetron, linking in with the microwaves. In 1947, Raytheon built the radar range, which was the first, unbelievable, isn't it? They actually called it the radar range, linking in with the military and World War, and this was the first commercially available microwave oven. 1947 is the year of the doomsday clock began, everybody. Now that doesn't mean the end of the world, it means potentially a new beginning. And remember, I have to keep saying, is it that all of this was staged as a deception for the right person to connect it all together? And I might pick group of people to come forward potentially. So in 1947, Raytheon built the radar range, the first commercially available microwave. Commercially available microwave. Pan Am American World Airways Inc. was also incorporated in 1947 and connects immediately to Raytheon, Jeffrey Epstein, and a member of the Rockefeller family, as well as the research of one of the suspects for the Pan Am American Airways Lockerbie bombing of 1988, shown elsewhere in the document. So the point I'm trying to make here is the Pan Am American World Airways was incorporated this company was incorporated the same year as the Doomsday Clock and the same year that Raytheon first commercially introduced microwaves. And Raytheon links directly to Pan Am American Airways, straight into the research of Jeffrey Epstein, not far away at all, immediately to a Rockefeller member, and the main one of the two suspects for the Lockerbie bombing, who was convicted in 2001, links back in via the research very quickly back into Pan Am American Airways, where this bombing supposedly happened in 1988, which is the year before the World Wide Web was created for CERN. So it links into Raytheon and therefore the microwave ovens and everything that I'm talking about. Bear with me. Try and... Ooh. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to... Oh, yeah. So in 1965, Raytheon, looking to expand their radar range technology, acquired Amana, A-N-A, to provide more manufacturing capability. In 1967, they introduced the first popular home model. So this was in 1967, which is the year after the Church of Satan was founded. Okay, 1966, the Church of Satan was founded. That same year is when you had the World Cup between England and Germany. And the Church of Satan was founded after a German knight linking to Christianity in that year, in 1966. Research shows that Raytheon is directly... Oh, my phone keeps flipping. Is directly involved with cell towers via an organization called RTX Corporation. So what this does is now links immediately microwave ovens to the military, to Jeffrey Epstein, to the Lockerbie bombing, and to the cell towers. Okay, which we have to consider that the cell towers are a big microwave oven potentially, technology wise. And we've already established they know what it does to human flesh and to biological material. Raytheon is a business unit of RTX Corporation and is a major US defense contractor and industrial corporation with manufacturing concentrations in weapons and military and commercial electronics, i.e. microwaves. Founded in 1922, it merged in 2020 with United Technologies Corporation. To form Raytheon Technologies, which changed its name to RTX Corporation in July 2023, as I was escalating the exposure of the fraud. An article from the 4th of February this year states, as the heading, UK ignores corruption scandals when awarding major military contracts. A Freedom of Information request reveals Britain's Trade Department collected no information about fines issued to military suppliers for corruption. The Ministry of Defence is reportedly set to award £2 billion, a £2 billion contract, to a consortium led by Raytheon UK, despite major corruption and fraud violations recently levelled against its American parent company RTX. So in other words, the Ministry of Defence is giving, and it'll be a lot more than this is what they're saying in an article from February this month, £2 billion linking in to Raytheon. And Raytheon, remember, links to the cell towers and to the microwaves. And the microwaves, in theory, would have given them the ability to put harmful technology into people's homes. And I'm pretty sure, I haven't researched it yet, pretty sure that when you purchased a microwave, you would have had to have given your details. What that would have done is enabled them to monitor the effects potentially of the microwaves in those homes and how that would relate to a bigger plan against all of humanity, potentially, of the cell towers. The contract, this is in the article still that I was reading to you, the contract which aims to modernise the Army's training infrastructure or implement more harmful technology in the cell towers using advanced simulation will be awarded through a competitive process in which Raytheon UK seeks to displace a rival bid led by Israel's Elbit Systems UK. So we have Israel also involved in the cell tower technology via Raytheon and all of this that's going on. RTX is already a major supplier to the UK Ministry of Defence, so that's linking in with Raytheon, having completed integration trials for the Paveway Precision guided missile on the Typhoon aircraft in 2025. The company says it. Now, I think a lot of the weapon stuff is a lie in terms of the defence weapons and linking into the conflicts to hide what's really going on with the technology in the cell towers. That's what all of the evidence is looking like, and how that links in with the because it does link in with the colliders as well in all of this. And in fact, I've seen an article that says that CERN, which is the company that deals with the Large Hadron Collider, actually was involved in the creation of the technology for the cell towers. So the company says it has a decades-long, this is still the article, decades-long partnership with the British Army and holds licenses to export F-35 fighter jet components which are used by Israel. Yet in 2024, RTX faced significant legal sanctions in the US relating to alleged bribery of foreign officials, defective pricing, and export control violations. The company settled several federal investigations with overall penalties exceeding $950 million. Crucially, Freedom of Information requests suggest that the UK export licensing authorities have taken no action in response to these developments. The Department of Business and Trade and the Export Control Joint Unit, ECGJU, said in October 2025 they had no internal correspondence, briefs or risk assessments relating to the RTX enforcement actions. So in other words, the government are trying to conceal all of this that's going on in relation to Raytheon, the cell towers, how that ties in with the microwaves. This all then links in with lots of other stuff that we're going to be talking about. A company search reveals a company called 1437826 Limited. And this is what they do to hide this, give it a number. that was incorporated as Raytheon Technology Co. Limited on the 27th of September 2022. 3 weeks after the Queen's supposed death, and as I was escalating my inquiries at Exborn Manor. Remember, Raytheon Technologies is what's been mentioned in the research of the microwave ovens. All right, so they created this company back on the 27th of September 2022, 3 weeks after the Queen died, as I'm continuing the exposure of my evidence. Okay, this is not long before Elon Musk wore the Baphomet. Its name was changed to the number given in January 2024. Okay, which is as they're realizing, oh my goodness, Gary is still exposing everything and he's joining all of the dots. So they changed the name to a company name, to a number, okay, to try and hide the Raytheon link. But then in December, they realized it was all coming out and they dissolved the entire company. So December 2024, they dissolved this particular company. It has a Lin Fan Yu of an address in China, and an address of Chase Buildings on its incorporation documents. So this is that company that's we've just been talking about, suggesting a possible connection to Chase Bank because it has Chase Buildings, and therefore a link to JP Morgan and the Flemings who initiated my removal. UK INTL Company Services Limited is in the people record of that company and connects to over 5,000 predominantly Chinese appearing company names. The Chinese government has already been confirmed to be implicated in the international collaborative deception, appearing to be targeting humanity and even creation itself. There's massive connections confirming that China is working in collaboration with the US, with the UK and international governments against all of humanity, if not against all of, it looks as though all of creation is actually at stake in all of this and everybody. And this is why I keep saying, look, if you're in the police, if you're in the military, even if you've been made some fake promise of salvation in all of this, you're all going to be targeted. All right, that's what it appears is going to be happening. And you're all being tested potentially in relation to this. So any of you that may have had some money from this fraud, you know, stealing from tax or whatever, you need to come forward, all right, because all of the evidence says you're all going to potentially be targeted. It was incorporated in 1938. Which company are we talking about here? Yeah. Oh, Raytheon United Kingdom Limited, another company. Raytheon United Kingdom Limited was incorporated in 1938. And its name was last changed in 1989, the same year that the World Wide Web was created for CERN. It wasn't changed at any other time. It has a registered address of KO1, and then it says KO1 again. So KO1, KO1. This is K, literally Kilo India Alpha, KAO, 1 twice. And the filing history shows this was given to the company, in August 2016. Well, that is the same month that a ritual took place at CERN by the Shiva statue, which represents creation and destruction. And it was after the Pizzagate scandal was being exposed. KO1 features on many of the registered addresses around this particular area of research. Now, this was interesting, and I only found this morning. On searching KO1 through Google, not Company's House, LINGCHI, Lingxi, is the first result that comes up, which is a type of Chinese torture technique, all right, relating to the 1,000 cuts on a human body. And it talks about, you know, where they used to apparently tie people up in public and cut parts of the body off of people slowly until they died. And it was also used for people that try and speak out against their masters. Okay. And it actually says about it here, this is a little bit of research, is it, on it, Lingxi. Now, there's no mention of KO1 within the article of Lingxi, but it's the first thing that came up on a Google search when I put KO1. So You know, whether that's deliberate, whether the algorithms picked it up and they removed some information from it that linked it, but it came up as the first record. So it's a Chinese form of torture, usually translated to slow slicing or death by 1,000 cuts. It's a form of torture and execution that was used in China from roughly the year 900 CE until it was banned in 1905. It was also used in Vietnam and Korea. In this form of execution, a knife is used to methodically remove portions of the body over an extended period of time, eventually resulting in death. Ling Chi was reserved for crimes viewed as especially heinous, such as treason. Even after the practice was outlawed, the concept itself has still appeared across many types of media. This is what Steve, aka Dan Dyer, who is affiliated to the Rapid Response members, threatened would happen to me if I continued my exposure. Now, the Rapid Response members are the ones that threatened to take my home and my motorhome, and then it was actually stolen. Massively implicated in all of this, all right? Mikey, whatever his name is, all of the people that are affiliated to them, massively linked into this, and a doomsday cult, it looks like, in all of this. They link to my family via the research, and key areas they link in with the leader of North Korea via the World Martial Authority that they're affiliated to. The World Martial Authority came out, and I think it was a test, potentially for me, I don't know, to see if anyone would accept over £8,000 a month for the next 20 years in compensation and to let this all go away. Well, there's no way, no amount of money being paid to me or anyone should accept any amount of money for this to go away. The only thing that is going to be the compensation for this, if you like, is the removal of anyone that's involved in it, a new system in place to prevent future generations ever living under this deception again. All right, and having truth as the foundation. A search for KO1 in Company's House through Google reveals KAO UK Limited that was incorporated in June 2002 after the World Trade Center disaster. It connects to the fraud and the research of the World Trade Center disaster by Lovells on its incorporation document. Karen Louise King connects this company to GG-506-759 Limited that was incorporated in May 2022 as I was making inquiries at Exbourne Manor. It has Get Ground Secretary Limited in its people record. I'd only seen Get Ground companies twice on my 4 years of research, with it making links to Waterman companies, okay, pretty much directly, and links to the rapid response groups, my upbringing, and quickly linking to the Honourable Society of the Knights of the Round Table and King Arthur. And the other time I've seen it is coming in from the Chinese Communist Party company that was incorporated in 2022 as well, in August, soon after Anthony Roberts of Exbourne Manor resigned, which triggered my investigation. That's the only, so that was coming in from KOKO on the registered addresses, sorry, KO1 coming in from the registered addresses, linking in with the microwave ovens, Raytheon, the cell towers and everything else that I've just been talking about, and then a company called KAO in brackets UK Limited that was incorporated in 2002, linking in with the Chinese government, where we've already had, remember, the Chinese name and address on the Raytheon company document that we were looking at. Going back to Raytheon United Kingdom, John Joseph Cronin connects this company to Society of British Aerospace Companies, in brackets that connects immediately to my brother-in-law's family, okay, immediately, who is connected to the main Freemason Lodge. So this is directly from Raytheon, microwave cell towers, straight to my brother-in-law and the main Freemasons Lodge. Now from there, As you saw, if you saw my live stream the other day, almost immediate connections to Elon Musk from my brother-in-law, Ghislaine Maxwell, and links to the Russian government via the same management agent of Exbourne Manor that was also the management agent for Jimmy Savile's building, which is right near Exbourne Manor in Bournemouth. And his name is Stephen Owens. So that exact same name, straight to my brother-in-law. Okay, that means Jimmy Savile, Exbourne Manor, and therefore me and my brother-in-law linking with Elon Musk, linking with the cell towers. We're talking practically immediately, everybody. Okay, linking with the microwave ovens, cell towers, everything else, China, everything else I've just told you, all linking in with this one little area of this research. And you've got Ghislaine Maxwell, which means Jeffrey Epstein. And as we've mentioned, there's already the link to Jeffrey Epstein via Raytheon, linking to the Rockefellers and to the Lockerbie bombing. The company changed its name. Oh, sorry, bear with me. I'm on the right bit. Page 13. Have I missed a page? Yeah, I've missed a page. Why have I missed a page? That's annoying. I've missed a few pages, actually. Oh, well, we'll talk about it anyway. When you come in, I know, because I remember roughly what it said. So when you go in through that aerospace company that connects to what we've just talked about, Raytheon, Elon Musk, etc., you have pretty much all of the weapons companies in the Western Hemisphere right there. Okay, it includes BAE Systems. You've got Thales. You've also got Leonardo there. And what I'm going to be talking about here is a connection to Leonardo, because Leonardo is based in Rome. So what we have now is a link to the Vatican via all of this. Okay, immediately, again, practically immediately. You know, there's over 5 million registered companies. So this now links also Rome and therefore the Vatican in with the cell towers and with the microwave ovens side of things. So Leonardo, and I haven't got all of it in front of me because I've missed some of the screenshots, unless it's further forward. No. Leonardo, as I've said, it's an Italian-based weapons company. It's based in Rome, and there was a change around their organisation on the 1st of January 2017, which is after the Pizzagate scandal, and when so I'm just trying to think what the last bit of information said, and after Donald Trump was positioned. Okay, Donald Trump's all part of this, and he's being controlled, of course he is, possibly by the Vatican-linked family members, black nobility, which links into the popes. But it looks as though the popes were infiltrated back in the, as I said, 1870 earlier, and then 1871 you had the letter written to Mazzini by Albert Pike, the Three World War Deception. But it changed its name to a Leonardo da Vinci connection was made. Well, the Da Vinci Code movie is very relevant in all of this. Okay, very relevant. Talks about a deception within Christianity and the real bloodline of Christ being alive. And it came out in 2006, which is the year that I moved down from Kent to Dorset, not knowing anyone at all. And then the second movie that came out, as I keep saying, was the Angels and Demons, came out in 2009, which is when I became a director for Exbourne Manor, and it's when loads of other key things happened. So you had the Iranian Green Movement, which links into the Iranian deception that I mentioned earlier. You also had the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales company was incorporated within 2 weeks of me becoming a director of Exbourne Manor. And that links all areas of the fraud practically together. In 2018, the British NGO Corruption Watch published a report entitled Anglo-Italian Job, which analysed £1 million contracts, lobbyists and prominent politicians, bribes, consultancy contracts and private intercessions by the former company linking in with Leonardo, the weapons company, which ties in with Raytheon and the cell towers. linking in with the Vatican. Right. So I'm just going to read you the connection to the Chinese Communist Party that I've screenshot here. So the leader of China is connected to the Chinese Communist Party, and a company South Search shows that Chinese Communist Party UK Limited was incorporated in August 2022, which is the month after Anthony Roberts of Exbourne Manor resigned, triggering my investigation. And the company dissolved in 2023. This is the Chinese Communist Party UK, as the exposure escalated. Dr. Ka Chun NG, Ka separate word Chun separate word NG, is shown in the incorporation document on the incorporation document in the people record, but no other companies attached. Well, a separate search for that name reveals 3 other records, with one having a correspondence address of Get Ground, linking to DODO 2025 Limited. It was incorporated on the 23rd of May 2025, the same month that the name for the main Siemens company was changed for the first time since 1962. I'd only just identified Get Ground companies through a company called Mikey Limited that connects quickly to my former school, Waterman companies. Oh, you've got somebody come on here asking questions. So I've just had a message come through. Sorry, I haven't been reading the comments. This is how it started soon. Ronnie, make sure. You guys, but I can tell someone's whole character just by looking at their face and hearing how they speak. And I hate to say it, but Gary is a racist. Goodbye. I'm definitely not a racist. We're all brothers and sisters of the human race, everybody. It doesn't matter what colour our skin colour is, or even what faith you have, as long as you have moral conscience as your foundation and you're not victimising anybody. Oh yeah, goodbye. Yeah, there's a few people on here, isn't there, that are obviously part of this. You've got to remember there's trillions of pounds worth of fraud in this. It's linked to the drugs trade, the sex trade. You'll have many, many people are implicated in this. I've just removed a couple of people. Sorry, I'm just reading through some of the comments just to see if there's anyone else I need to get rid of. No problem, Anna. Yeah, just reading the comments. I'm gonna go through the lead paint element of things in a minute. I've got that all ready to read out to you. It's pretty mind-blowing. Yeah, what I would just say to anybody is get the document. All right, the document proves everything I'm saying. You can verify everything within the document. So all anyone needs to say to anyone that's criticising this is, have you requested the document? If not, request the document and then come back. Nobody has come back once they've got the document and criticised it. All right, because you can verify everything, because the links are within the document. You can click on the links and verify all of the information that I'm telling you. So that is what I would say to anybody. And until they've done that, you've got to assume that they're compromised. It's blatantly obvious, the evidence that I've got here, you know, and how it all ties in with everything. We know we're living under a criminal system, 100%. It can't go on, it must stop. Okay, I'm just going to come back to reading the evidence. So we have this link from the Chinese Communist Party to the Get Ground again, which we've already just connected coming in from the Raytheon link that we were talking about earlier. And this was via a Mikey Limited company that links to Waterman companies, and then it makes the link back into my school, the Knights Templar, my former school, the Knights Templar, and the Society of the Knights, the Honourable Society of the Knights of the Round Table. Just having a quick read. Do I read that bit as well? No, let's not worry about that next bit. Okay, so lead paint. We've already talked about the microwave ovens. They were commercially made available the same year as the Doomsday Clock. You can go and research that. It's all within the document as well that will be going out. And we had, obviously, Raytheon linked in with all of this. Many have claimed that the removal of lead from paint was a deliberate plan to allow potentially harmful directed energy technology to penetrate buildings. An article where is it? An article below that I put in the document states that, and it is supported by other information, Benjamin Franklin wrote a letter to a friend in 1786 warning of the dangers of lead. But it would be more than 100 years before the first ban was enacted, not in the United States, but in France in 1909, which is when the first ban came in, the same year that the relevant Secret Service Bureau was founded, making a link to the intelligence agencies that are hugely implicated in the criminal network and the agenda against all of humanity. So 1909 it was first banned in France. In 1951, Baltimore, Maryland became the first US city to ban the use of sale of lead paint. New York City followed suit in 1960. However, it took more than a decade before Congress addressed it with national legislation, passing with the Lead Poisoning Prevention Act of 1971. 1971 is the same year as the formation of the World Economic Forum, and that Stephen Hawking came out with the Hawking radiation theory. And that is all relative to this, along with Stephen Hawking's involvement in the collider technology and CERN. A complete ban on all consumer use of lead paint didn't happen in the US until 1978, when the Consumer Product Safety Commission prohibited its use in all consumer products, including paints, toys, furniture. However, this left millions of houses still coated with the toxic paint. In 2008, which is the year that the Large Hadron Collider was first activated, the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, issued the Renovation, Repair and Repainting RRP rule, mandating that any projects that may disturb lead-based paint must be completed by lead-certified contractors, like Pancioni. Sounds Italian, doesn't it? Other information shows the sale of lead paint was banned in the UK from the 9th of January 1992. So we had 1978 for America, the ban, 1909 in France, 1992 in the United Kingdom. Well, this is the year that the Catholic Church became a legal entity and that the Companies House records started to become electronic. Now, they claim it became a legal entity. It probably became... They set it up as a false entity, okay, an illegal criminal entity to avoid the accountability of what their part was to play in relation to all of this, all right? And this was timed, it looks like, with the electronic register being created. Now, either that was deliberate for the right person to expose it, linking in with the Vatican, or, you know, they didn't expect someone to make all of these connections together. And, you know, at the same time, it's exposed the Catholic Church in all of this and the Vatican. This, according to the research that I've seen, this ban stemmed from legislation being created in 1989, which is the year that the World Wide Web was created for CERN, which links to the apparent threat of directed energy. So this, of course, that gives them the ability to start planning through the creation of the World Wide Web to put potentially harmful technology into people's homes through the internet via the routers, etc., within your homes. The apparent dangers of lead, this is what we have to consider with all of this, isn't it now? The apparent dangers of lead paint were considered well established, but going back a bit here, by the beginning of the 20th century. In July of 1904, edition of its monthly publication, Sherwin-Williams, that's interesting, Sherwin-Williams, because there's a Sherwin connection in all of this, reported the dangers of paint containing lead, noting that a French expert had deemed lead paint poisonous in a large degree, both by the workmen and for the inhabitants of a house painted with lead colours. As early as 1886, German health laws prohibited women and children from working in factories processing the lead paint and lead sugar, making the German connection to the apparent original decision-making process in the ban. And Germany appears to be a significant part of the criminal network deception and agenda going back to the Reformation. You remember, you had the German company called Gutenberg's back at the formation of the governments, the Reformations, and they were printing the religious material, which was then disseminated around the world, enabling the ability to control the information towards whatever agenda a small group of people would have in all of this. The League of Nations had begun efforts to ban lead paint in 1921, meaning this plan appeared to have had United Nations involvement some time ago, and is now very apparent from the evidence that the United Nations are an international criminal network exploiting and victimizing most of humanity. That's now obvious, all right? Along with NATO, along with the United Nations, a criminal network linking in with the intelligence agencies, in with the Freemasons, the Vatican, and all of these other historical elements in this, going back to the infiltration of Rome of 1870, the Albert Pike letter, who was a high-level occultist Freemason, setting out the Free World War deception, with Mazzini, head of the Illuminati, from 1871, tying in with the Rothschilds, and the Balfour Declaration from 1917, all tying in with all of these key individuals. Research states that the ban on lead paint in the UK involved DEFRA, and it says in 1992, European Union legislation was implemented within the UK by Environmental Protection, part of the Department of the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, or DEFRA, as the controls on injurious substances regulations. This prevented the addition of white lead to almost all paints except those intended for use in historic buildings and artwork. Okay, so there was an exemption. We're going to come to that in a minute, why that's important. However, a search for DEFRA, now bearing in mind that was back in 1992, that information, a search for DEFRA shows that it was not actually founded until 2001, which is the year of the World Trade Center. Now, either they've changed the information somewhere to try and hide it because they knew it was going to be coming out and they've forgotten to get rid of some, right, making that link to DEFRA to the ban on the paint, because the research says that DEFRA wasn't actually created until 2001. So, very interesting. Michael Heseltine had been the Secretary of State for the Environment for the date that the ban was implemented in the United Kingdom in January 1992. He left the position in April 1992, soon afterwards. And he would have, of course, being the head of the Secretary of State of the Environment, would have had involvement in the decision to ban paint. They allowed an exemption from the ban to certain graded historical buildings, meaning that those living in older properties, which would be those at the head of the international criminal system, were exempt from the ban and could protect themselves potentially from any potential agenda regarding directed energy, because a lot of these people will be living in estate buildings, grade listed buildings. That means they can use lead paint still under the exemption from the ban. Hidden layers of lead paint. Oh, that's the article, just the article there. Michael Heseltine had already been linked in my previous research. This was coming in from France's Prime Minister, Emmanuel Macron, with France being where the first ban occurred in 1909. This had been linked, he had been linked from a Thales company, that is a weapons company, that had already been linked majorly to the criminal network and the apparent threat from directed energy, with Thales being linked to BAE Systems and the cell towers. The research shows that Heseltine was involved in a government debate regarding radio frequencies and telecommunications, and that debate appears to have taken place in 1995, which is when the Hackler International Advisory Board was created, linking to the intelligence agencies, the Russian government, the royal family, and an international collaborative deception against all of humanity. That is shown, the Hackler International Advisory Board company is shown on page 40 of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, and it has dissolved since I've exposed it. Okay, that company has dissolved in 2024. He's also shown that Michael Heseltine, not only was he involved in this debate in 1995 regarding telecommunications and frequencies, and he was in position to have helped in the decision of the ban of the lead paint, he's also a former director for the Institute of Government, which is connected directly to the Royal Institute of Foreign Affairs, where it seems the control of the world governments is taking place and possibly involving families linked to the Vatican. Now, that organisation is at Chatham House. Chatham is where I was born in Kent. Chatham House was named after, it was named because of William Pitt. William Pitt was the Earl of Chatham. William Pitt was a former UK Prime Minister. William Pitt was also one of the people tailored at the Nutters of Savile Row. It's in the name, everybody, Nutters. I don't mean that offensively, but they literally had an organisation called Nutters of Savile Row, and he was linked with the tailoring organisations of Savile Row. There was another one called Hunters and Sons, and they were involved in the tailoring of aristocratic individuals, many high-profile people within the entertainment industry. Elon Musk, but Elton John, David Bowie, various princes of Wales, aristocratic individuals. It's called Hunters and Sons. That links massively into what appears to be the research of the skinning of the children alive, and where it looks as though they were using, from the research that I've got, we have to consider they were using those tailors to actually put the skin of children into items of clothing. And of course, I've already got the connection into the shoes and all of the other stuff as well. So this, I can't ignore it, and that's what it looks like's been going on from all of the research I've got. And this, don't forget, this links in all directly in with the Pizzagate scandal and the video of Hillary Clinton supposedly skinning somebody alive, linking in with United American politics. And immediately on Hillary Clinton's incorporation document, you have Virgin Management Limited. Well, that links in with the Virgin Foundation, and obviously that links in with Richard Branson, who's been named in the court papers, I believe, for either Ghislaine Maxwell or Jeffrey Epstein. And the Virgin Foundation company is linked to my wife's former employer directly, practically, from research surrounding him. Anyway, so where do I get to? So Heseltine was linked to the Institute of Government. Chatham House, which is actually links to Chatham, where I was born, where they are supposedly running the world's government, linking in with the Vatican. Now I'm trying to find a link to the Vatican directly from that area of research. I haven't found it yet, but somebody's basically said to me they think they could be running, and I think that's going to be the case, bearing in mind what I'm finding from it. Anyway, a search of DEFRA company's house through Google. Remember, DEFRA was supposedly the organisation involved in the making the decision of the ban, reveals the Secretary of State acting as DEFRA. Literally, it comes up with a record for the Secretary of State acting as DEFRA, and they were appointed to Stockbridge House Service Company Limited from 2002, after the World Trade Center disaster, until 2004. The company was incorporated in 2002, the same year, and connects immediately to the fraud and quickly to the research of the Flemings, Donald Trump, Jimmy Savile, CERN, the main Freemason Lodge, the Royals, and much more via Nabarro Nathanson on its incorporation document. all right, which now makes the link, it seems, from DEFRA into Donald Trump and everything else, which means the lead paint side of things. Again, linking in with Donald Trump and the royal family, which includes, I've found a connection to Prince Andrew, Princess Anne, Prince Philip, there's Princess Beatrice, all in this small area of research surrounding and linking to Donald Trump, Jimmy Savile, the main Freemasons Lodge. And then from there, it links almost directly again. You know, we're talking, when I talk about links, it's either from a director into a company or from a name on an incorporation document going in, linking into something else. And that links into the Portuguese Chamber of Commerce again from them, which means JP Morgan Limited, which means Harry's Shoes Limited. And of course, you then have, like I said earlier, the links to the Italian earthquake companies tying in with this, and the links into Madeleine McCann. And the Mazzini document, the Mazzini company, Mazzini Garibaldi company, which means the Mazzini letter that I'm talking about, written by Albert Pike to Mazzini. Michael John Langdale connects Stockbridge House that we're talking about here with the DEFRA link to Stockbridge Technology Centre Limited, that was incorporated in March 2001 on the lead up to the World Trade Center disaster. And it is a criminal company, having been incorporated with exact same companies as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, where my investigations began. Jan Ali connects Stockbridge Technology Centre Limited to 12 companies, including Leeds Diocesan Board of Finance and Diocese of Leeds Limited and Diocese of Leeds Trustee, had already been connected to major areas of the fraud and the research of the Iranian conflict deception, which links in with the leaders of China again, and it links massively back into me. And in fact, a lot of those connections were found around research surrounding not Charles Darwin, not Charles Dickens. Is it Charles Dickens? Yeah, Charles Dickens, who hold on, let me just, I haven't got it in front of me, so I'm trying to think what it is. It Charles Dickens that's famous in Rochester? Charles Dickens, it is Charles Dickens, isn't it? I think it's Charles Dickens. Whoever the famous writer is that was in, it's not William Shakespeare, so it must be Charles Dickens in Rochester. Oh, this ties in with massively into me. Charles Dickens also links back in with he was one of the original members of the it's either the Garrick Club or the Society of the Honourable Society of the Knights of the Round Table, which then links back in with me. And anyway, all of this research connections to the diocese that I'm talking about of Leeds, which links in with this, is around that particular bit of the research that I was doing. You need the document, really. You know, anyone that hasn't got it, you need to get this document, and you can cross-reference everything, and I've tried to assist by actually putting how it links in there anyway, as I'm sort of reading to you here. So we have this link in to the Diocese of Leeds, linking into the religious establishments again. And this will obviously then potentially make the link to the falsified prophecies. And Francis Daltrey connects Leeds Diocesan Board of Finance to Army and Navy Club Limited. It was incorporated in 2013. So we have a link to the Navy. Ian Fleming worked for the Navy. Charles Dickens, his father, worked for the Navy. There's another link into the Charles Dickens side of things. So Charles Dickens originally was born in Hampshire, where you have Portsmouth Naval Base, which is massively linked into this, linking in with the Flemings. That's obviously Hampshire, where Deborah Fleming was the NHS chief executive that initiated my removal. They then moved, when Charles Dickens was 5 years old, to Chatham, which is where we've been talking about Chatham, haven't we? It's where I was born. And then he had a property. Charles Dickens he worked at Chatham Dockyard. Okay, Charles Dickens worked at Chatham Dockyard for a while. He then bought a house in Higham, which is near Rochester, not far from where I was living at all, in 1856. And 1856 is when the Church of Satan started to use the Baphomet as its symbol. And 1856 is when, I mean, there's so much to this, but 1856 is also when a German company was incorporated, which links to the control of all information going back to the Reformation. But this German company was incorporated in 1856, and that links into the Maxwells. Okay, so you can see how this all links in with the controlling of the information is their biggest weapon. Control the information, they steer the agenda, they can lie to you, deceive you, and manipulate you through the control of that information. And this is why all mainstream media companies, all social media companies, all newspapers, practically every form of publishing is controlled in this international government fraud. And that all began back in the Reformation in the 13th century. Okay, so we have this link to Army and Navy Limited. Michael John Hawthorne had a correspondence address of Evelyn Partners, making major connections to the fraud, and also connects Army and Navy Club Limited to RNVY Officers Association Limited, that was incorporated in 1946, and it dissolved on the 16th of October 2025, not long after I was released from prison. And as the exposure continued. Remember, it was incorporated in 1946. It's not like it's a new company and they're just not working out and they thought, right, we'll dissolve it. 1946, and it dissolved at a key time. Brian Loftus Carter connects Army and Navy Club Limited to Union Jack Club, that was incorporated in 1904, and early documents attached to it show that it has a forged register, but they are trying to rectify it in newer documents by putting the correct company name. Well, it doesn't matter. It's been originally incorporated fraudulently. It's a criminal organisation, but they picked up on it and tried to falsify the later records by putting the real company name. Well, this organisation had been connected very quickly to Ghislaine Maxwell in the research of Ghislaine Maxwell, and to the Christchurch earthquake via Ghislaine Maxwell, and major areas of the fraud. That is the Union Jack Club. Malcolm John Fuller connects Army and Navy Club Limited to 5 companies, including Sea Cadet Association, that appears to have a forged register and connects directly, literally directly, to the Honourable Society of the Knights of the Round Table, where Charles Dickens is connected and where Waterman families connect, and lots of others. It also links to the Freemasons, and I found that originally coming in from the leaders of Iran and the research surrounding the Iranian conflict deception. Sadly, the military is heavily implicated in the fraud and the apparent crimes against humanity. And it is looking as though, guys, I'm the only innocent person that's come from the police, or they've set it up to seem that way and for me to expose all of this at the right time or come forward. But at the moment they've exposed themselves to an international criminal system financially, even if all of the rest of the stuff they've done is set up as a deception in relation to a spiritual agenda and how it relates to me. They've exposed themselves to a criminal network against the world. Fact, everybody, fact. This is, as the very foundation of this, we've got a criminal financial system allowing the funneling of trillions of pounds from the masses into an agenda that they may have. Well, we can't live like that. A search for EPA, remember, EPA is the acronym for the Environmental Protection Agency that was supposedly involved in the ban, reveals EPA Limited was incorporated in 2000. And remember, even though an organisation was founded at a particular time, doesn't mean they can basically have companies and dissolve them and create more companies and create shell companies, etc. So this one was created sometime afterwards in 2000. Its nature of business is shown as environmental consulting activities. It immediately connects to the major areas of the centralised criminal network and apparent crimes against children and the world leaders by Formations Direct and Form 10 companies on its incorporation document. Another search reveals an environmental protection agency that was incorporated, literally it's called Environmental Protection Agency, that was incorporated in November 2022 as I was escalating my inquiries at Exbourne Manor. And the only director, and on the filing history, shows that, Michael John Fenton is shown as the only director, and the filing history shows that his details were changed in 2023 as I was escalating the exposure of the fraud. There are many apparent duplicate records for this name, Michael Fenton, linking back into the criminal network, with one record connecting to Sutherland Christmas Trees Limited, okay, that had been incorporated as Alt Major, potentially a link back into the Major, back into the military organisations in 1996, and it only had that name for 2 months before being changed to the Christmas one. It is a criminal company, having been incorporated with the same companies as Export Manor Freehold Limited, first of all. So we know it's connected in. The directors connect Sutherland Christmas Trees Limited to many companies, including Cordwell Children. Okay, and we're going to come to that in a minute. Cordwell Children, as well as and companies appearing to relate to the apparent threat from directed energy, including companies such as Phones for You Group Limited, 2020 Mobile UK Limited, Phones for You Limited, these are just some of them, 2020 Mobile Limited, the Mobile Phone Repair Company Limited, and importantly Vodafone companies, which will then make huge connections from Vodafone into the potential threat of directed energy through phones and the cell towers, etc. Another search reveals, now remember Caldwell Children coming in from that research, Caldwell Children, because we're going to get to that again in a minute. Another search reveals the Environmental Protection Group Limited that was incorporated in 1998, and STRI Limited is shown in the registered address. Richard Stuttard connects this company, the Environmental Protection Group Limited, to STRI Limited. That was incorporated in 1996 and has Ashcroft Cameron Companies on its incorporation document. Ashcroft and Cameron. Now, I suspect that's going to relate to David Cameron's family. I haven't done any research to be able to confirm that, but it is shown throughout my research. I just haven't honed in on it and focused in on that particular company. There are many golf courses connected to the directors of this company, which appear to be centralised to the fraud. Maurice Patrick Lindsay connects Environmental Protection Group Limited to 12 companies, including various rugby companies, rugby as in sport companies, that quickly leads into major areas of the fraud through the centralised sports industry, and they also connect to Cordwell Children, already shown coming in from the other environmental. So we can see this is a great example of how the whole system is centralised. You can see that coming in from one environmental protection organisation, you have this Caldwell Children. Coming in from another one, you hit Caldwell Children again very, very quickly. Now, this gives them the ability to launder money, you see. All right. They create these different companies, make it seem as though it's all part of the same link into the government. And it will be linked into the government, but they create, and what I mean is in relation to government spending money is probably a better way of putting it, such as the Environmental Protection Agency. And then they can launder the money through these organisations, steal it from the masses through the tax and other financial institutions, and funnel it into whatever their real agenda is in all of this. And remember, we've got the threat now of directed energy linking, and we can see to the mobile communication companies, which means the threat of directed energy, which means the cell towers, and goes back into everything that I've been talking about. I think that's it for now. That's all I was going to do for now. That's all I've screenshotted anyway. I've got vast amounts of evidence, absolutely vast amounts of evidence. It's growing all of the time. I'm making major important connections, such as there's an address and an organisation which is so important in it, of 50 Broadway, London. It's quite often linked to an organisation called Bertram Dyson Bell. Now, I believe the Dyson in there links to the literally Dyson, who links to the vacuum companies. But that organisation and 50 Broadway is massive. It links to the police organisations, the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners, and the Association of Chief Police Officers of the United Kingdom. Massively into the crimes against children. It links almost directly in with the Hampstead Child Abuse Inquiry. Now I've got the links to the leader of North Korea is almost directly linked to it. It's all so quickly link. And what they've done, you see, is they've created a massive, complicated network of information. But for whatever reason, they've left it possible to identify the connection and everything to this fraud and all of the world's problems. And I suppose this is quite possibly by design for the right person to expose it. And this could be why, you know, you had the Vatican became a legal, or the Catholic Church became a legal entity in 1992, the same time that the Companies House records started to become electronic. Well, I'm just going to come to some questions before I leave it at that today. Just reading back on the comments. Someone's put vacuum cleaners. I have no idea. I haven't researched vacuum cleaners. Thanks for your comment. Peace, Jen. Really appreciate it. What do you think? What do you think, Mulder? It's probably easier if you just got any questions, because I haven't been looking at everything. Put them on the comments now. Feel free to put them on there. Someone said, "Oh, they've missed the live." Yeah, we've basically been talking about. Now it may be that they'll remove it from YouTube, but normally it automatically goes on YouTube. So they might remove it, so hopefully you can watch it there. But we've been talking about microwave ovens, how that links in with the cell towers, the removal of the paint from the lead from paint, sorry, and tying into the crimes against children. We talked about Sweeney Todd and the research surrounding Sweeney Todd that cannot be ignored, linking in with the whole legal system, in with Ghislaine Maxwell. And Sweeney Todd obviously was a character involving putting human remains in pies. So it's all very pertinent in all of this. I've not had a microwave for 10 years. Oh, I think there was a couple of questions. Let me just go back a little bit. Gary, did you look up 1776? No, I haven't specifically, that I can remember, looked up that date specifically. I don't think so. That's is that to do with the Constitution date, the American Constitution or something like that? There is. Oh, if it is, hold on, it might have come up. It might have done. I'd have to check my document. You know, there's so much information in my document now. It's hard for me to remember everything. But I had something come up of the, and it was quite important connecting into the date of the signing of the American Constitution, I believe. I think that was in 17 something, wasn't it? We have gotten a bit silly over here, Gary. Gary, cheers. Not even had breakfast yet. It's been a troll fest. Yeah, sorry. I tend to just ignore a lot of it, to be honest with you. The evidence is so obvious now. And literally, I just say to these people, have you even requested the document? No, you haven't. Go and get the document. If you're still going to criticise it, then you're either involved, compromised by this, or you're just silly, because it's so obvious, the evidence now, that we've got a criminal system. When the life's gone, go straight to the... Yeah, you can watch it later. Would you consider talking at my festival? I kind of know the answer. I'm happy to speak on a screen. If you can get a screen at a festival and get me on a screen talking live, absolutely, I'm happy to do that. Absolutely. I can't go anywhere in person. I can't risk it, because I still need to continue building the evidence and bringing this system to an end through the exposure, and consider what other strategy I need to do. So yes, if it's remotely done, then I will, and I'm happy to do that. I've not... Oh, why is that turned? Because I've turned the thing around. James Longley and Co. of Crawley. My Polish grandfather built under a name of Janet Stevens. Gary, I sincerely apologise. I've upset some people on here. You're obviously an educated chap. Just think it's a bit far out there. Have a great day. It is. This is why you need the document, Kieran. It's, I know it's hard to believe. I can't quite believe I'd be sitting here saying all of this, but it's there in public government records to prove it. And then it's supported by everything that's going on. It's supported by all of the news articles that I'm seeing. And, I've got 40 reference police reports that are completely unanswered. It's, I know it's hard to believe. Trust me, I'm very understanding of how difficult it is to take this all on. And that's why you need the document. If there's any doubt, then get the document. You can verify it all. You can actually listen to my videos back, and you can actually go into the Companies House records as I'm talking about it, and you can verify it. So you can do that if you don't want to get the document. I love my accent. Yeah, a lot of people think I'm from London, but I'm not. I used to have a really Cockney sounding accent, but sort of lost it a little bit after I moved to Dorset. Someone's put, I know about microwaves. I refuse to ever own one. Lead paint under the guise of kids eating paint chips. Lies, lies, lies. Barry Trower warns about the radiation. Yep. Now, it could be, like I say, it could be this is a deception, all right, and what I mean by that is they've set a trail of evidence up for the right people to expose it and come forward potentially. But at the moment, I've got to say, look, it looks as though kids are really being skinned alive and tortured. It looks as though there's a threat from the cell towers. It looks as though there's a threat from CERN. I've got to consider that everything's real at the moment until we know it's not. Environmental health are definitely involved. Every government organisation is involved in this international government fraud. Not necessarily everyone working for those organisations or departments. Every department will be linked into this fraud. Okay, because remember, it is linked to the taxation system. The governments were set up around this fraud. The police were set up around the fraud. The intelligence agencies were set up. The military, all set up deliberately around this international fraud. It's obvious. It's absolutely obvious. This has been planned for a very, very long time. Okay. Is Trump part of the Knights of the Round Table? I have no idea. I haven't seen his name. The research linking into him is all around it. He's connected into Exmoor Manor from multiple different ways. There's many, many connections into Donald Trump. And it looks like an alias name has been used or a relative of his, which makes some critical connections into this as well. We have the authority to trample on snakes. Kieran pays taxes. He's involved. Nobody should be paying taxes at all. All right, you need to apply the pressure to the system to make them realise it's over. One of the ways you can do that is by stopping paying the taxes. You can't pay taxes now. Under Section 15 of the Terrorism Act 2000, it says that if you actually pay any money and you have any reason to believe that money may be being used in terrorism, you don't even have to know it, then you're a terrorist. Under Section 15 now of the Terrorism Act 2000. Now, my evidence shows that all the terrorist incidents are linking in to HMRC, to the government organisations, to the tax. So that means they're behind all of the terrorist incidents, if they're real. Now, we have to presume they're really happening because they're telling us they are. So we've all been, in theory, technically, terrorists under the Terrorism Act, but we haven't known that. But now, not only do you have to consider it, which means that kicks in, because it says in there, may be being used in terrorism, we've got the evidence showing it is being used in terrorism. So nobody should be paying any tax. Yeah, I am tired. I'm very tired, actually, today. Thank you. I pay taxes as how do I avoid them? You can't pay them. Right, you need to contact HMRC, contact your employer, first of all, and say, look, I'd like to deal directly with HMRC. All right, because if you're PAYE, then they'll take it from your pay slips. You need to contact your employer and say, look, I'm going to deal directly with HMRC now because of what's being uncovered. You then contact HMRC and say, look, I'm happy to pay my taxes and backdate them if necessary once a suitable, transparent payment system is in place to ensure that the money is not being used in terrorism and crimes against children. and then just ignore anything until we get a system. Okay, I've had no further contact from HMRC. They know there's nothing they can do about it because the evidence is absolutely overwhelming. It's absolutely overwhelming. Now, that alone is probably not going to be enough. You need to start making arrests, right? You know, we can't keep living under potentially children being tortured. We have to fight for the children in case that's real, and it does look as though it is. Then we have to start making arrests of these people, citizens' arrests. How can you contact me through? Yeah, you can contact me through email. If you get my document, so my email is garythetruthsetsusfree@gmail.com. That's Gary with one R, thetruthsetsfree@gmail.com. I've got loads of emails I still haven't actually responded to because I need to get this document still done. And I want to, because what I want to do, why it's taken so long, is I want to get as much evidence as I can into that document, get it sent out, so it doesn't matter what happens to me, and then I'll consider what I'm going to be doing next. But I need to get to that point first of getting enough in there where even if they get rid of me, it's with enough people to bring this system to an end and bring a new system in with or without me. And that's what I need to do. So it's, you know, it's very time consuming. So the document shows the background of me, how I found out about this, leading into the evidence, all of the police reports, or most of the police reports. I've got to add a couple more. It shows everything, basically, the links with it explaining everything, coming in from Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Madeleine McCann, the King, all these different individuals, different topics coming in and having the links to the Companies House records and news articles and everything else, supporting and proving everything I'm saying, how it all becomes relevant. Now, I could have done it better, I'm sure, but I've done my best with it. There's a lot of spelling mistakes in there, but the evidence is there. We aren't the ones committing the crimes. No, absolutely. You know, I'm sure if you'd have known 20 years ago that this was going on, we'd have all stopped paying our taxes and we would have put an end to this. But, you know, it's only because of the disclosure of this and everything that's coming out that we're realizing what's really been going on. You're right, Adele's put, we have all been in a state of what the F for years. Now we need action. Absolutely. Nobody linked with the government is going to do the right thing about this. Donald Trump is not, he's being controlled. All right, all they're going to do is steer the agenda for them. Okay, this is down to the people. I've given a strategy for the people. It's within my document. So if you type the strategies within the document, you'll see what I believe needs to happen. And I don't see any other way to resolve this personally other than what I put in that strategy. Perhaps if you name the people that link the companies together, it will be clearer and is happening, and why also easier to remember. You need the document pushing poopy. You need the document. Have you requested the document? That's my first question to you. Have you requested it? If not, why not? Otherwise, I'm going to think you're involved. Why haven't you requested the document? I've been talking about it every single time. It proves everything I'm saying. Then you'll be able to check and see absolutely everything. If I was to literally go in and mention every single name doing these videos, I'd never finish the video. You need the document. I just need to summarize it to give you the gist of it so you can then understand what's really going on and get that document if you want to verify it. So get that document. Have you requested it? Seriously, as I only came on here today, I have no idea what this document. Okay, now you do, Kieran. You need to email me, garythetruthsetsusfree@gmail.com. When I get chance, I will send it, but I need to get the document done to a point where I can send it out. It's garythetruthsetsusfree@gmail.com. Gary with one R, thetruthsetsusfree@gmail.com. Proves everything. Kieran, watch some of his other stuff where he goes through the documents on the screen. Yes, so I know I was trying to show all of the evidence in real time. They removed loads of my videos. I had about 9 YouTube videos removed. They've taken down my TikTok channels because obviously they don't want me showing the evidence real time, because that is proving it all literally as well as saying it. So, you know, they're just going to remove those videos. That's what they're doing. That's why you need the document. What Gary is saying now is the truth, Kieran. It's why people don't play here. Yeah. Pay here, I presume that's right. Right, you want honesty. I'm being honest. I am a retired police officer. I am retired now. I only ever tried to help people. You wanted honesty and truth. I have the bottle, to be honest. Well done, Kieran. Great to have a former police officer on here. So you need to get behind this evidence. You need to get more colleagues involved in this. They're all going to be victimised, according to this research. Many of them, unfortunately, are going to have been involved in this, whether it's just the financial element, some of them probably a lot of the sinister stuff going on. You need to get behind this. At the moment, I have to say, all police officers look like they're suspects in this. All members of military at the moment, it looks like they're all involved. Now, it could be they're trying to come out and speak about it and they're being suppressed. That's possible, but there's not enough people coming out. And I wouldn't trust anyone if they're not talking about the Companies House fraud. It's literally the key to all of this. Since 5 years, I have never nerve pain in my lower legs. It's since the 5G was switched on. The guy from Seacan died last week. Very suspicious. Wouldn't expose the fraud. Had a conversation with him. It wasn't last week, it was before that. It was quite a while ago now, as far as I'm aware. I had a conversation with him. Would not expose the Companies House fraud. He's got to be implicated in it somehow, which means, how did he die? Did he? How did he? Then do some detective work, Kieran. It's all out there in public domain files, etc. If anyone is not looking tired and stressed right now, I look at them. Someone's put, if anybody's not looking tired and stressed right now, I look at them sideways. That's Kaylee, that's it. Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot to take on, isn't it, at the moment? This for anybody. We are still in the Roman Empire with the governments. They even have the wreath on their flags, etc. There's a massive link in with Rome. I've done the research around Saturnalia. I mean, this now you're starting to go into the realms of the deception, or now I don't believe it's the case, but I'm open-minded in all of this. I still believe it's part of the deception based on the evidence I've got, but the alien side of things. Okay, because what this links into is Saturnalia. And Saturnalia goes back to Rome, where they were worshipping Saturn. And this links in with the cult of Saturn, or the cube of Saturn, which is supposedly a cube shape on Saturn. Now, we wouldn't have seen that when that was actually discovered. So that means somebody else might have seen it. And then, now I'm not, at the moment, I'm still thinking it's all a deception in relation to the alien side of things. But I am very open-minded. But Saturnalia, the god of Saturn ate his son, which talks about, obviously, you're then making the link into the eating of the children. In Bern in Switzerland, the capital of Switzerland, there's a statue of a person eating babies. And I've done the research surrounding that, and that becomes very, very relevant in all of this. There's speculation that it may be based on Saturn, the god of Saturn. But the leader of Switzerland, who was positioned in 2025, double-barreled surname Keller something, the research surrounding that becomes very relevant because Keller Group, which is in my document, there's a lot of stuff I could tell you about it with my document in front of me. Keller Group were the ones that actually created the control panel for the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. And I had information that the Ninth Circle, which was a dream I had about the Ninth Circle, and clowns led me, long story, led me to identify that the technicians at CERN, where the Large Hadron Collider is, call a problem with the machinery the Ninth Circle or hell. And the Ninth Circle links into the research of the torture of the children in all of this. But anyway, yeah, I've researched Saturnalia. There's actually a company called Saturnalia, which links to Rome, that links almost directly to, what's his name, Mohammed Al-Fayed. So it's definitely going to be a relevant element in all of this, because Mohammed Al-Fayed, Dodi Al-Fayed, the whole Princess Diana thing, is hugely connected to this. And if you'd have seen my research, my evidence over the last couple of days, I did a YouTube live, and it's overwhelming, the evidence surrounding Princess Diana. Michael Jackson, now linking in with Michael Jackson actually, Jill Dando, you know, all of these high profile deaths are all connected together now into this international government fraud. It's really, really quite obvious now via the research. Magna Carta, section 61(3) of the Recognition of Trust, 1987. Abuse victims have no respite, Gary, and the real ones don't rest either. Did you say section 15 of the Terrorism Act and what year it was in? I'm writing it down. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was section 15. If you put Terrorism Act 2000, go and look at section 15. I'm pretty sure it's section 15. If not, it'll be around there, section 14, 16. And have a read of that and you'll see. It's all there in black and white. None of you need to pay taxes now based on this. Then link this to works by Break the Ice Luke, Nascott and Professor James Moriarty. Then maybe you'll see. Anyone in Warwickshire on here? I will email you, Gary. I've been working on the citizens arrest thing for years and have some ideas I think you'll be interested in now. Yeah, thanks, Kaylee. I mean, it's the only way I can see to go. This is exactly what I will be doing. I will be doing it by myself now if I wasn't having to continue the exposure of the fraud. But even if I, to be honest with you, I'd still be doing it now. The thing that's stopping me is because I didn't go to court, because I think they were going to take me out on the way to or from court. Then there may be an arrest warrant for me. So there's a chance that the first thing they're going to do when I turn up is arrest me, which means I'm not going to be able to do it, be any good anymore. So I've got to think very carefully about what I do next and how I do it. I've had to hide and protect my work for many years as they erase and abuse me around the clock. I've been in isolation for many years myself now. I'm sorry to hear that, Kaylee. Did someone look into John McPhee's unaliving and now King Charles doing certain stuff on a certain island? Just stumbled upon this morning. No, I haven't actually, but I will screenshot that in case I get a chance to research it. King Charles is massively implicated in this. You had Coldy Island off the coast of Wales, off the coast of Tenby, where apparently there were monks abusing children. Now, I didn't know about that until I'd done a bit of my document leading in from Rishi Sunak, found the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, went out with some family members. They said, Gary, have you seen about the articles of the abuse of children on islands in the last few days? I was like, no. Looked at it, and there it was 4 days earlier, an article of children being abused on this Coldy Island just off the coast of Tenby. Now, the person that told me that links into my family. Okay, my family, my nan was married in Tenby. Okay, she was born in Pembroke in Wales and married in Tenby, which is where this island is, just off the coast where the abuse happened. Anyway, got all of these articles, found several articles going back quite a while. It wasn't just 4 days earlier, talking about this island. Went back to do my research, however long afterwards, and noticed there was a company on page 40 of the Royal Foundation that I got to, and it was the Monks Investment Trust Public Limited Company or something similar, a monks company on the incorporation document. So I then researched it and found a link to an island company, and then loads of links to JP Morgan, which is the Flemings. Yeah. Did someone? No, sorry, I haven't looked at that. Sorry. The wheat and the tear, but the wheat are exposing the tares. Gary, what year is the Section 15 terrorism law? It's the 2000. So the Terrorism Act is 2000, and the Section 15 is just under that. I don't know. I presume it's the same year because it's under that act, the Terrorism Act. It's no coincidence it came out in 2000, the year before the World Trade Center disaster. Is this England? Yes, I'm in England. Yep. I'm in the United Kingdom. I looked into the Thin Blue Line, funded by Amy, whose shareholders are mostly Indian or based there. Okay, you've got to remember that there's been no verification. All right, so they're able to use false names as well, false details. This is deliberate by the governments. because by using the false names, it means there's no accountability and liability, as well as the forgery behind it as well, which is what what I've identified, which is outright government crime, fact, government criminal system, fact, proven. You've got the mens rea and the actus rea, which is required in a court of law to prove a crime. It's there straight away, and they'd get found guilty immediately in a court system. There's no other, because, and I'm saying this because mens rea is the mental capacity to understand what you're doing, actus rea to carry that out, to actually carry it out knowing what you're doing is wrong. Now, what they've had is the document to attach to the register. This is how government had the document to attach to the register. All they've got to do is transfer the information from that document to the register, and they falsified the register. Put in some of the right information, but falsifying the name of the company. Well, it's not a mistake. It's not a mistake when you're talking hundreds, thousands of companies they've done it with, first of all, because they've put the right date. So they've got the right date, but put a false name. It's absolutely irrefutable. Gary, you've got high patent recognition and it is in danger and you know it. What does that mean? Sorry, I don't know what that means. I looked into the thin blue line. Yeah, mentioned that. Gary for boring streams. Well, you don't have to watch, do you? Just look up Trump's apartment, all Polygon merchandise on display. Yes, I've heard about this. I haven't put it in my document. This probably becomes very relevant because there's a key document for the Jewish Community Centre UK, which links multiple areas of the fraud. It links into Madeleine McCann, and they've crossed out Apollo. There's a company name, Apollo, and they've crossed it out. Whether that is because they were trying to make it seem as though there's a connection to Apollo and all of this, or Apollyon, then maybe, yeah. But apparently, yeah, like you said, apparently Donald Trump has loads of Apollyon stuff in his property. Oh, good. I'm glad you've gone, Kat. I'm just gonna hide them from the channel. Gary, golf equals flog. Oh yeah, interesting. I didn't realise that actually. Golf is it's a huge part of this. Donald Trump had a golf course in Scotland. It opened in 2012, according to the research I've seen, the same year that the CERN discovered the Higgs boson or God particle. Massively links in from that golf organisation into multiple areas. I've linked Donald Trump almost immediately in to the research of the Dunblane massacre. Well, it is in the research of the Dunblane massacre, which had Andrew Murray survived the Dunblane massacre. It's obviously to do with this. The Dunblane massacre is obviously to do with everything I'm exposing, as well as you've got multiple other shootings, the Las Vegas shooting. Every high-profile shooting I've looked at links into this so far. All terrorist incidents, all high-profile murders that I've looked at, high-profile missing people, the ones I've looked at all linked together. You can summarize a link with slightly more detail by saying what the link is. I understand it is time consuming, but it will be easier for anyone tuning in. The best thing, Pushing Poopy, is to get the document. Have you requested the document? Can you answer that, please, Pushing Poopy? Have you requested the document? Yes or no? I love how people think they are important enough to announce their departure from the chat. Yeah. Just leave, no one cares, we care. Just leave, no one cares, we care about the kids. Yeah, absolutely. Does it offend you people? Say bye. I'm new, let in what's up, please. Oh my goodness. So we've got a system of international government fraud linking to all of the world's problems, and it's all being exposed, linked into the Jeffrey Epstein files, everything. This is what it's really all about. 100%, absolute 100% certainty. It's all to do with this, to do with the company's house fraud. Absolutely no doubt. Recap, please. Okay, so we were talking about the evidence, and you need the document. If you haven't got the document, please request the document. I will be sending it out hopefully very soon when I've finished it. Gary, the truth sets us free at gmail.com. That's Gary, 1R, the truth sets us free at gmail.com. So we were looking at today the research coming in from Sweeney Todd, which is obviously where children's or people's remains being put in pies. And we linked that into this international government fraud in a huge way, in multiple ways. We then, into the legal system, we then linked in, we did the research of the microwave ovens, how that links in with Raytheon, who is a weapons company, linking in with the military, involved in the cell towers, and how that tied in with the removal of lead from paint as a potential conspiracy to protect individuals in certain properties, because they allowed an exemption from the lead paint being used in older buildings, which meant those in the older buildings, i.e. those behind this international fraud, living in stately homes or whatever, can still use lead paint and protect themselves. That's in a very quick nutshell. There was a lot more evidence. We showed how it linked into the or spoke about how it's linked into the Chinese government, international governments in fact, but we found or spoke about the linking with the Chinese government particularly because it became relevant with Raytheon. I haven't heard about black dragons. No, I haven't, sorry. Saturn linked to the occult, yes, and the cube of Saturn, and the actual potential infiltration or even the creation we have to consider, or the manipulation, shall we say, of the scriptures of the three main Abrahamic faiths. Okay, so Judaism, Christianity, and the Islamic faith appears to have been infiltrated in all of this, and the cube is actually related to all three faiths. So with the crucifix, you can fold that. If you imagine you've got a cutout of 4 squares by is it 4 squares? 4 squares by 3 in the crucifix shape, you can fold that into a cube. You've also got a cube in the star linking with Judaism, and you've also got the cube linking in with the cube of Mecca in relation to the Islamic faith. And then you start talking about what I said earlier, potentially the cube on Saturn, and then you're going down the realms of, well, we wouldn't have been able to see that. So then you start talking about the terrestrial element and all of this. But I still have to, based on all of the evidence I've got at the moment, say I believe that is a deception. And there's a lot of evidence suggesting that is a deception. Why is YouTube streams full of conspiracy theorists? I've got the evidence proving everything I'm saying. You need the document. Have you requested the document? If not, then I'll have to consider you're compromised. This guy has connections to Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda. Are you talking about me? I have no connections to anyone other than I was in the police for 18 years, but all government organisations are involved in this. It's easier said than done. Read taxes. No, it's not. It's very easy. It's very easy. Very easy to do it. I've done it. I've had no problem whatsoever. I've still got my properties. Nothing's happened to anything. The only thing they did is they stole my motorhome from me because I wasn't complying with the Road Traffic Act. It's theft. It always has been theft because of the criminal system behind it, which means I have unknowingly facilitated a theft. All right, because when I was in the police, I was involved in, well, it's actually not me that authorises it, but when you had a vehicle that didn't have any insurance and they wouldn't produce it, and we found evidence that there wasn't any, then we would get an inspector to authorise removal of that vehicle, and the vehicle would be taken. Now, I obviously didn't know about this at all at the time, and I thought I was doing a good thing because I thought, well, if there's an accident, then obviously people, that's what I was thinking. Little did I know, all insurance companies are centralised to the crimes against children and the threat from directed energy and everything else that we're talking about. So you can't pay the insurances without being complicit. So I then made the decision of, well, the evidence is so strong, I'm not going to comply anymore with the Road Traffic Act. They then set it up, and it was staged to arrest me, which led to me. It actually worked out really well, even though I lost about £20,000 in that motorhome and its contents, and I spent 12 days in custody. I managed to acquire so much evidence going through the process, exposing everything. It actually couldn't have worked out really any better in terms of exposure. How does he have? I certainly don't have a connection to any to Al Qaeda at all. Tell them your name is here. Say you was just. Tell them your name is here. Say you was just a baby. I don't know what you mean by that. Sorry. Hi, Vanessa. I hope you're doing okay. You via screen is perfect for what I have in mind. I've worked myself into a position I can physically take the risk, I believe. Brilliant. Please get me on a screen. If anyone wants to get me on a screen, they want to. I've been saying this for months. You know, I can show the evidence. I can talk about the evidence. I can explain it. I can answer questions. You know, you can have people prepare questions in advance that I can answer. Absolutely. Get me on a screen at anything, a festival. Please do that. I don't think you're going to be in danger at all. What they don't want is people that are going to continue building evidence, exposing people, putting pictures on documents of people involved in all of this. But I'm still here, even though I'm doing that. So, you know, it's possible they've tried taking me out at certain times. That's what the evidence suggests. They've certainly made me feel as though they were going to take my life. But I'm still here, still doing this. There was an incident the other night, and I think they'd set up an ambush on a route that I was taking. And I think they'd set it up for something to have happened to me. Luckily, my intuition kicked in, and I saw at the last minute, and I changed my direction. They've had dog trackers out. They've had someone's come in my tent. So I've had to change location. But I don't think there's a risk to, you know, anybody in just generally exposing this. So many people have got the document now, the former document, because I had sent a document out before. But obviously what I've had to do is add more evidence, because there's just so much to this, you know, that I've had to add a bit, send it out, add a bit, send it out, etc. Did you know that Jeffrey Epstein used to host regular dinner parties at Buckingham Palace? No, I didn't. I didn't. Well, that's very interesting, very relevant. I'll do a bit of research about that. If you can send me any links to that, DJ Misfit, that would be great. Someone's put Tony Montana, sadly for you, citizen, is a ward of an FNG state. You have no court to go to the end. If you need any bloody legal advice, copper, I have already said, ask, and in 5 minutes I'll advise you. There is no legal system because of the crime behind it. It's all forgery and criminal. I don't know whether you're compromised, Tony Montana, but it's completely criminal. What we need is a people court system in place. All right, the laws, in terms of the ones that they have in place, most of them are part of the ability for them to launder the money. But certainly you need laws, obviously, in relation to God's laws, or, you know, causing no harm, loss or injury to anybody. There needs to be some sort of laws in relation to that. But there's no point having those laws if you've got people running the court system that are involved in corporation fraud and the crimes against children and all of the world's problems. So we need a people court system in place. You're not going to do that until you start arresting these people, right? Because the court system in place, they won't expose themselves. They will not. It'll be committing suicide. There was a Salah Star cult. Okay, I haven't heard of that. Thank you. Thanks for your comment, Empowered. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Spooky, and your comment. Really appreciate it. I'm doing my best. Could be better, but I'm doing my best. That's all I can do. Tony Montana, that's not true. Someone's put. I warned the world with the songs. His father was the cult. Yeah, sorry, Vanessa. I didn't advertise this, and I came on a bit early today. I'm going to do some earlier ones. There's a reason I'm doing it, but I might do evening ones as well. But there is, I'm going to do some earlier ones in the day every now and then. And I'm not generally advertising them because it gives them time to do certain things if I advertise. Can we arrest our PM and other politicians? 100%. 100%. They can all be arrested in theory. Okay, you have an offence of conspiring to allow international fraud. Conspiring is a very broad offence. 2 or more people are basically more than merely, I can't remember what it is of that aiding and abetting. I can't remember the exact wording, but now they could all be arrested, all right, at the moment for conspiring to allow international fraud to continue. Absolutely. But you've got to think practically, carefully, strategically, and it needs to be done in a way, I think, where you focus on the solicitors that have been centralised to the Temple Bar, which links into the Sweeney Todd evidence I was talking about earlier, and the potential children being put in pies, and the financial advisors, the accountants, and the Freemasons. And of course, the police are implicated. So, you're going to be calling police to attend to actually take them away. They may not do that, in which case we start exposing the police. And the police need to be aware of that their faces will be exposed, being linked to the skinning of children alive. All right. And all of this criminal network that's now being identified. So if they want to do that, that's up to them. Then we'll expose them. All right. Nobody's going to be wanting to be exposed to that. The solicitors aren't going to be wanting to be arrested. The accountants aren't. It's the way to apply the pressure. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a conviction, all right, at the end of it. But what will happen is, you imagine you're in a solicitor and you're working in solicitors, and suddenly someone comes in, arrests you, and calls the police. The police turn up. You're videoing. Everything's being videoed. Okay, you've got the evidence. You've got a script saying everything you need to say in a calm, methodical, peaceful way. You're not actually encroaching on their privacy in terms of going private space. You don't need to physically touch them in any way to arrest them. You just, through the exposure, you do the arrest. Okay, that solicitor, whatever happens from that point, whether they're arrested or not, they're going to be speaking to their bosses. And remember, everything is centralized, so it goes right back through the whole system. Oh dear, the police are now starting to arrest us. What do we do now? The police that are turning up are going to be like, oh dear, what do I do now? Even if they're involved in it, oh dear, they're now all getting me on video. They're not doing anything that I can arrest them for. They're asking me to arrest, and they're presenting the evidence. What do I do? It applies that pressure to the system. As soon as you start getting the solicitors dropping out, okay, the whole system starts to crumble, and they're going to be under. And then what you can do is start then arresting other individuals. All right, if they don't come forward with the truth, right, all we need is the truth at the moment is the base of all of this. We need full disclosure of the truth, which is that they've got a criminal system in place, and they have done for a very long time, and it allows and facilitates the laundering of money in relation to the crimes against children, international conflicts, terrorism, and drug trafficking. At the very least, that needs to be disclosed by them for us to then start sitting back, or not sitting back, but listening a little bit more and seeing what they're going to do about it. Now, there has to be mass resignations. No one's ever going to trust any of these people again. If they can prove that they have been trying to resolve this in the right way, then we can listen to those people, and we can, hopefully they can retain their positions or jobs moving forward into a new system. If they can't, then we're never going to trust them, are we? We're never going to trust them, and they're going to need to go. It's as simple as that. And there's going to have to be consequences, and they know that. Certainly for those that have been instrumental in this system, those that have been instrumental in allowing it to continue, there's going to have to be consequences, right? Can I have updated version of the document, please? Yeah, I still haven't actually sent it out yet, Alea. I literally, because what I'm trying to do is get it to a point where it doesn't matter what happens to me. The evidence is so concrete in this document, I can then consider what I'm personally going to do in this and put myself at more risk if necessary. But I need to get it to that point, so I'm just desperately trying to build as much evidence as I can in it. I've just put the Sweeney Todd evidence in there. I've just put the evidence of the microwave ovens and the cell towers, and the Princess Diana stuff, the Michael Jackson. Obviously their deaths are related to this, so all of that's going in there. Key stuff, so that I can get it sent out. But it's time consuming, so I do apologize. I still haven't sent it out. It's been weeks since I've sent it out. The whole world is one entire psyop. Yeah, it certainly seems like it. The deception is vast, everybody. It's just deception upon deception upon deception. But we know as a fact we have a criminal financial system in place. All right, unless they've set all of this up for me, and every one of you on here is part of it. They've set up all of the Companies House records, all as me as the experiment at the centre, to see what I will do about it. Now, I have to consider that's possible, but it doesn't seem likely, because a lot of the people are appearing to be genuine that are on here and are claiming they're verifying the evidence. So we then fall back to, you know, that you've got this massive international collaborative centralized criminal network deceiving all of humanity, and how that links in with the Vatican, the Church of England, links into the Church of Satan and all sorts. Must have taken you a very long time. Yeah, I've been doing this since 2022, but it's only really, I found out what the real issue was not until 2023. And then from there, I've been trying to get other people to do the right thing, the organisations that should be dealing with it, and found out they're involved. So I've been trying to build the evidence around the organisations and trying to prove their complicity in all of this. So you've now got blatant, obvious evidence that the United Nations was set up as part of this. The NATO, the police appear to have been set up specifically around this, and in fact, governments themselves appear to have been put in position because of this and how it links in with the Vatican. How do you request? I haven't really got time to read it, to be honest with you, but I can listen while doing other things. So you need to put an email in, GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. You don't have to read the whole document. You can just literally search Donald Trump in that document. So you can search Donald Trump and see all of the evidence with Donald Trump. You can search Madeleine McCann and just look at all of the bits of the evidence with Madeleine McCann. And you can actually click, this is what's important about it, is you can click on the links from that document, verifying and proving everything I'm saying. That's why it's probably the most important document evidentially on the planet at the moment. Whatever is hidden will be found, and what is concealed will be revealed. If you have more, send it to me. You have my email address. If you have more. Yeah, I will send out, every now and then, I will send out an updated document to everybody that's contacted me. But the trouble is, a lot of what they're doing is they're sending loads of emails, or getting people to send me loads of emails that are filling up my email inbox, which means I've got to then clear the emails, another strategy they use, and that means I've then got to request you to email me again to send it out, because obviously I can't save, I'm not saving, and I don't know whether I can, whether I could save, I suppose I could, but I'm not saving everybody's email. Gary, clarification, the old document I have, your new document is the updated version, correct? Yes, so I haven't sent out the new document. I've sent several versions out previously. You'll know, I put in the date, obviously, on the document that it was created up to, and then obviously there's more evidence being acquired since then. This next version is going to be huge because the evidence has escalated as I've acquired it. And as time's gone on, I've been finding critical connections into all of this as the time's gone on. So this document is absolutely vital. It's got some of the key stuff in it. Thanks for your comment, Empowered. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm warm enough. I'm a bit uncomfortable, but you know, I'm surviving, so I'm okay on the scale of things. Hope I got that email right. Yeah, Gary, the truth sets us free at gmail.com. Gary with one R, the truth sets us free at gmail.com. If you still want them, link Mary Magdalene JC Blunt. Hi, you still want them. You still want them. Link Mary. I can't, question doesn't really make sense, D-Dave. I can't, you put hi, you still want them. Link Mary Magdalene JC bloodline, question mark. Yes, the cube unfolds, so does the pyramid to become the Maltese cross. Need to look at, now the Knights of Malta, I've got connections into it. That I actually found out about the Order of Malta, which links in with Jerusalem. It comes with another company linked to Jerusalem. I only found that when I researched John Harris, who was the person that was coming out talking about Companies House, but he wasn't talking about the fraud. And the other evidence I've acquired suggests he was positioned to come out with the information that he was. But you've got the links to the Malta the Maltese Knights of Malta from that. And I've actually put it into the latest document. We'll have a bit of the research surrounding the Knights of Malta. We have all been double crossed with all the crosses. Yeah, absolutely. It's a massive deception. Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sorry, I just realised what you meant. Absolutely, yes. Now, I believe there's a creator. I believe they are good. I don't believe I'm the creator. I don't believe people are the creator. All right. A lot of people are saying we are the creator. No, if we start going down that route, it's a very dangerous route. These people probably or might believe they are the creator, which means they believe they might think they have the right to rule and deceive everybody and do this. All right. Because they might actually think that. If we start going down that route, it's very dangerous. We are fallible. We get things wrong. We make mistakes. We are tempted into sin. We have to put the praise. I believe we need to put the praise into whatever gave us our moral conscience, which will be the creator, will be creation, because moral conscience is the foundation, i.e. in a rational state of mind, we all treat everybody how we want to be treated. No loss, no harm, no injury. When that irrationality is removed, the system they've got in place facilitates the removal of that rationality. Then we slip into sin away from the conscience, and we then slip away from the creator. Now they're behind all of the things that do that. They're behind the alcohol, the drugs, the poisoning of the food, air, water. They are behind the radiation. They're behind you working too hard, so you get too tired, and then you talk to people in a way you wouldn't normally. And of course, it's self-fulfilling destruction, because from that slipping away from moral conscience and treating someone how we wouldn't normally, we then feel guilt against ourselves. Okay, and we feel guilty, and that destroys ourselves. So it's a self-fulfilling destruction, not only of others but also ourselves, because of that removal of the moral conscience. I want to send it on TikTok, but I couldn't DM you. Oh, okay. Oh, I might need to request you. Sorry, I might not have accepted you as a... How do I can't do it from here, can I? Maybe I haven't. Let me... I've just screenshotted that, and then what I'll do after this, I'll accept you if I haven't already. That's why we fought you all. Oh, someone's put, that's why we fought you all 250 years ago. Who are you then, Tony? Tony Tech. Who are you, Tony Tech? That's why we fought you all. It's time for another revolution. Extraterrestrial, is there such a thing? I believe it's a deception at the moment based on all of the evidence I've got. I believe it's a deception. Think about it. What they could do if they make you believe that there's a fake alien event or fake alien invasion, it gives them the ability to through that event, create a control mechanism again. So that could be, for example, that they say that there's a threat from aliens. They then come in and resolve it, and therefore you'll then be turning to the governments and trusting in them as well. It also gives them the ability to explain away the crimes against the children. And what they could say is, well, there's been people living here on Earth, and they're the ones that have been eating these children and doing all of this to the children. It gives that ability. It also gives the ability for them to say, yeah, all the bad people have now been taken, which they tried convincing me. I had someone try and say this, that 3I Atlas Comet was an event where all of the people that were bad actually left on that comet. This gives them the ability to change identities, get rid of them, hide them in tunnel systems, put them in a different part of the world, give them masks or whatever, and make us believe that the problem has been resolved and they can continue without facing any consequences. It also gives that ability. And of course, it also separates us from the creator. All right, it separates us from that closeness to believing in a creator, because if we believe and see that there are other alien life forms, then it makes us feel less insignificant of who we are in the universe. I actually believe, or I have to consider and think that we could be the center of everything. And they've been hiding that to maintain the control mechanism, because as soon as you realize that actually you are all powerful and you are believing in a creator, if you like, through whether it's through moral conscience or whatever you want to believe, then your fear goes, your fear dissipates, and you are then willing to do what's right against all of the odds, as I am doing. All the time you have that fear and you don't believe that you'll be all right whatever happens to you, then that maintains an element of control, doesn't it? You know, I could have stopped months ago when they made me think I was going to be poisoned, and they got 2 Russian guys to come in and set an event up. Whether they were trying to poison me or not, I don't know, but it certainly looks like it. But whether they might have just been making me think that, you know, I could have stopped back then, because I could have thought, well, I don't want to die. But I've realised how big this is, and I've realised it needs to be resolved, and it doesn't matter what they do to me. I have to continue on this journey because I know I'm going to be all right whatever happens, I believe. So, you know, that fear goes. Gary, you were an acting sergeant. What happened? Yeah, so I joined the police in 2006. 2000. Transferred to, that was in Kent Police, transferred to Dorset in 2006. And I retired voluntarily in 2018, not realising it was actually to do with all of this at the time. We went, my wife and I, we went on a 3.5-year career break towards the end of before I left. We went travelling in a motorhome, and I kept extending the career break. So we went across in, it was actually a little T4 camper van, an old one from 2010, and we went across to Europe, and I kept extending it, and we had up to 3.5 years. They then refused to allow me to have another year. So I went back in, I think it was 2018, with a view to seeing what it was like and potentially leaving for good, because I'd realised actually there's a lot more to life, and I tried working out my finances, and went back for 6 months. I then had a morning, got up for work, and I collapsed. Just for whatever reason, never had it before happen in my life. For 10 minutes I collapsed. I now think this was done deliberately. Okay, I think something might have been given to me, or it was divine intervention, because I collapsed, which meant I couldn't do the full duties in the police. So I couldn't go out in the police cars responding. You know, I had to do office work. So that they basically ended up saying weeks later that the reason I collapsed was because I had an AV block in my heart, and they was about to install a pacemaker to change the electrical signals in my heart to prevent it ever happening. And something told me it was all wrong. It was all a lot. Well, I didn't think it was a lie at the point, but now I do. I think it was something. There was something bigger going on. It just didn't match up to me. It didn't make sense. I'd always been pretty healthy. Never had an issue. You know, my nickname was Duracell Bunny, because I had so much energy. And anyway, I was literally about to have a pacemaker installed, and I said, look, something's not right here. Can we look into this a bit more? It just doesn't make sense. And he went back, and they basically installed a little loop reveal, which I've still got in my chest. It's like a little device in my chest under my skin, and that pairs with another device to see what my heart's doing at certain points. Anyway, I've never had a problem since. Nothing's happened to me since. That was in 2018, I think. Nothing. I've had no problems, never collapsed like that again, never had an issue. Now I don't know what that would have done to me if I'd have had that pacemaker. Is that some sort of move into a control of humanity through some sort of transhumanism? I have no idea. Was they going to try and use that to control me through that device? I have no idea. But anyway, went back to work, and because when I was away in 2016 or so, Theresa reduced the police numbers by 20,000 and closed loads of police stations. So we couldn't do our job. It looks like, to me, it looked like we were being led to believe that we should look for reasons not to investigate a crime rather than investigate it. And I thought, you know what, I didn't join the job to look for a reason not to help people. I joined to help people, and I worked out my finances, and I retired from the police, and that was 2018. They've really tried very hard to make sure we don't collaborate. Yes, they do. They do. Because as soon as everybody unites, I mean, this is the perfect evidence for everybody to unite over. We're all brothers and sisters of the human race. It doesn't matter what skin colour you are, what culture you are, what sex you are. We're all equal in my belief, no matter what faith group you have. As long as you are treating others how you want to be treated, with respect and moral consciousness, that foundation, we're all being deceived. We are all being deceived, or most of us. I know I can trust you because you have also gone into isolation and dedicated your life. You don't have to trust me. You don't have to trust me. That's why I've done the document, because everything I'm saying, you can verify it to be true. And that should build trust in me. But you don't have to like me. You don't have to trust me. Just go and get the document. If there's any doubts about what I'm saying, check the document and you'll see it's all true. Now, there are some mistakes in the document every now and then, but generally there's more than enough evidence and information in there to prove everything I'm saying. You've only got to look at one company practically to prove what I'm saying. If you were to type in Vistra Limited now and go and look at Vistra Limited, that was originally called Jordan and Sons Limited, you'll see the dates next to it that they've put between 1965 and 1996. It only had that name of Jordan and Sons Limited. Well, if you go onto the filing history, you'll see a hidden name of Hammerplag Limited. So that it's straight away in that one company you can check, because they've falsified the record from that one company. It proves what I'm saying. That then removes the accountability and liability, and they've done it with so many companies. This allows the laundering of money from all of you and linking it into this criminal network and all of the world's problems, which creates the motive for the lies, because money creates lies for that money, manipulation, control, deception, but it's also linked to the drug trade. So it links to the addictive side of things and the sex trade, which we'll be linking in with the drug trade and the paedophilia and the crimes against the children, and leading into the blood of the tortured children, according to all of the research, and the torture of those children. There is no legal systems. People's court is the way. It is, absolutely. You have to have people not connected to a criminal corporation and therefore manipulating their decision-making process for a bigger agenda involved in the court processes. Absolutely. Do you know David Icke? Yeah, David Icke, I've done the research in my document. Please get it. Massively implicated in the deception. Massively. He's linked to the intelligence agencies via the research. He came out in 1999, 1991, said the world would be devastated by earthquakes and tsunamis. That means he was put there, positioned there for the link to the falsified prophecies by the intelligence agencies. Oh, great to have someone here from Iceland, everybody. Amazing. Hi, Gary. Greetings from Iceland. Do you know how Dorit Musif is, Dorit Musif is connected to this? No, I have seen connections to Norway. You've got an organisation, but I will screenshot that and do some research when I get a chance. All countries, developed countries at least, are implicated in this. So I'm pretty sure your government will be, but I will check that name. But there is a government organisation, one of your biggest energy suppliers. I've forgotten the name of it now. I've confirmed that that's part of the centralised criminal network. But, you know, every country is involved in this. Is guys in the fight risking our lives have clear names, nothing on us, that I'm certain. If the judges and lawmakers are corrupt, then the people are screwed. No, not at all. Not with the strategy that I'm suggesting. What you need to do is apply the system apply the pressure to the system by making the citizens arrests. Now, there's one of two things they'll do from that point. They're either going to massively attack humanity, and it potentially even, you know, all of creation, or they've got a real problem with even trying to enslave all of humanity to the point where we can't do anything now. because the evidence is so strong. So if they are going to continue to try and enslave everybody into a full digital currency system, for example, that's going to be quite difficult for them now. If they do that, then you're talking civil uprising and unrest. So they've, and you've got to remember, this is a hearts and minds battle, a battle between good and evil. And what we need to do is get through to everybody's minds, into their moral conscience, and use that as the leverage, if you like, to win this over. Get them to realise the deception, the crime, the risks involved to them and their families in continuing to be part of it, and get truth to be the foundation, moral conscience to be the foundation, and that will win many people over. We're probably, or possibly, almost at the point where there's only now a very small number of people scrambling, trying to maintain this system they've got in place, and a lot of the people around them are probably saying, "Look, it's over. It's over. It's all coming out. Look, you can't. We've got to end this somehow. We've got to do something. It's not going to be able to carry on now." This is the sort of conversation that will be going on. I'm no doubt at the top of all of this. They will be talking about what they need to do, what can they do. Now, there's not many options available to them, is there? There's only one right option, and they'll know this. The only right option is to full disclose the truth, full disclosure, and then go from there as that foundation, full disclosure of truth, and reset the entire system to truth. That has to happen. The other option is, like I've said, they continue to try and enslave all of humanity to bide their time for whatever their biggest agenda is, using full digital currency control, etc. This other option is they get rid of enough people that there's not enough people left to be able to actually stand up to them and do anything about this. The final option is they end all of creation, which it looks as though, from all of my evidence, that looks as though what the ultimate agenda by the very top of this could be linking into the falsified prophecies. All right, with them potentially thinking that's what will bring about the creator, is through that event that they create through the destruction, however that may be. There's not many options available to them. Of course, the other option is, like I've said, getting rid of people. Even if they get rid of me, potentially now the evidence is out to enough people from my previous documents that it won't matter. Even if they remove the Companies House records completely now, it's still not going to get rid of this. There's not much really left that they can do in all of this. They can control, which is what they're trying to do, control the disclosure of the truth and control the timing of it, which is what they are definitely trying to do, to give them time to work out whatever their agenda is ultimately in all of this. Gary, Nascot, break the ice. Professor James Moriarty, the name Moriarty, not a great sign. And Super Chuffer, research and link the lot for a whole picture. What I would say, Joe, is, are they talking about the Companies House fraud at all? Probably not. But yeah, I'm not going to say too much more on that. We get you a new one. Get me a new one. We need a new system in place, and that on a very simplistic basis. It needs to be initially, I believe, a account system where you can all log on. Anyone that's innocent, wherever they live, can log on at the source of the payments and see where the money is being spent in relation to public spending money. Not only with public spending money through taxes, etc., but also in relation to real estates. For example, if you're a leaseholder in a building, then there needs to be a transparent financial system in relation to that leasehold at the source of payments, not a secondary typed up load of figures. It needs to be at the source, income and outgoings, where that money expenditure, where that money is being spent. John Wedger. Now, this is interesting. John Wedger is implicated in this. All right. Now, this throws a whole curveball of, well, what if the whole lot is a deception? You've got John Wedger talking about crimes against children, but you've got him linking to the crimes against children. Okay, in a massive way, not in just a slight way, linking to the Pizzagate scandal almost immediately via the Knights Foundation, linking with Julian Assange, which links to the Doomsday Cult via what's her name, Belinda McKenzie, who started up McKenzie Friends, all linking in from him, and he started just praying. When I was telling him about everything, he just started praying on the phone to me. Now that suggests he knows something, possibly about me. Why would you start just suddenly praying? It to the point where it threw me. We were having a conversation, suddenly he's praying on the phone. Now that obviously makes me consider that a lot of this is a deception, and this is the evidence is suggesting that some of the deaths were staged and a lie. But I think, as I spoke about the other night with the research of Michael Jackson and Princess Diana, and how that tied in with the research of the death of Keith Palmer, potentially they're making it look like those deaths were staged to hide the fact that other deaths were real, i.e. potentially Princess Diana, Michael Jackson, Jill Dando and other high-profile individuals that were standing up. It seems as though they may be trying to position information which could blur the lines as to whether those deaths were staged and whether those individuals even really died. But some of them, I think, are going to be real deaths now, based on the evidence that I've found around Michael Jackson and Princess Diana and Jill Dando. The Pendle Witches. BBC backwards, CBB, 3 equals 322, Skull and Bones. Also a children's channel. Oh, I didn't know that. 322 equals CB. Oh, of course, yeah. C with the third letter in the alphabet, BB in the second, CBB. So it equals number 322, Skull and Bones. Why does that equal Skull and Bones, though? I don't know why that equals Skull and Bones, but I'm sure you do. If you can enlighten us if we're still on here, that would be great. Thank you. Skull and Bones. Also a children's channel. Yeah, CBB is a children's channel. BBC massively implicated in all of this, everybody. And BBC links in with Jill Dando. She was actually in a relationship with one of the heads of the BBC, or linked into the BBC, and it's massively linked in. Even her brother linked straight into the criminal network in a massive way. Yeah, go keep watching your 6 and stay in your intuition. Yeah, absolutely. There's been quite a few times where I've thought my life was going to be taken. I've had to. Prison was very interesting for me, the whole prison situation. All solicitors are involved in fraud, 100%. All solicitors are centralised. This is why you've got the Temple Bar. I've just been speaking about the Temple Bar in the evidence earlier. It links in with with Sweeney Todd. The Temple Bar was a place in Fleet Street where they used to go and drink and have mutton pies. Fleet Street is where the Sweeney Todd was written about. Pies in that program, in that film, and in that book. There's loads of other research surrounding that ties it back in. Sweeney Todd. And PI is obviously an acronym for Paedophile Information Exchange. 300 more names released. Oh, right, okay, is that in the last few days? I haven't seen it. And then someone's put 3,000 more. Veritas summum lex est. Truth is supreme law. We do know that. Fact, 100% truth is so important. We need a reset to truth. If we're going to do anything in this, we reset to truth. And then we create a system based on truth. And there you go. You secure it. The technology is there. And what I mean is a transparent system where there can be no corruption. And sorry, I'll go back to what I was saying earlier. So you imagine you've got a system where you can log on and see where the money is coming in, for example, of council tax. So that would be a lump sum collectively coming in, for example, every 6 months. From that exact same account at the source, you see where it's being spent. £300 this or £3,000 this week to the police, or however amount, it'd be more than that, of course. But whatever amount, straight away you've got that transparency. Whoever the leader is in relation to deciding how that money is being spent at the top of this, they will know it's being watched. They will know the finances are being auditable, okay, and monitored by everyone. Immediately, you have a safeguarded system. immediately. Now, that can be done on a local, national, and international financial system. It's done. There you go. Then you have the full accountability and liability through the full verifications of company incorporations. I've got proof now that they've set up a criminal verification process. What they are allowing are people within companies to verify their details through a third-party company that is part of the international government fraud. Okay, all collaboratively working together, saying they've verified their details, even though they're part of the fraud linked in with those individuals to this centralized criminal system. It's flawed. It's flawed. It's completely corrupt. There is no verification going on. It's a complete lie. Okay, so that means they're still able to use false details, which means we've still got them laundering the money and full steam ahead with whatever it is agenda they have, and their addictions along the way, trying to pay off everybody with their money and their addictions, keep the addiction going. The addiction is a huge part of this. Most of the people running our system, I'm sorry to say, are very likely going to be cocaine addicts and whatever else, or alcohol addicts or whatever. They're not thinking rationally, and they will be thinking, well, how am I going to get my, they've been using the public spending purse to pay for their addictions. How are they going to keep funding that? All right, if a transparent system comes in. Well, unfortunately, that's not the problem of the innocents. But of course, what will happen is you will free up so much money, so much more money will be free, that you can then use that to rehabilitate those people. At the moment, the rehabilitation process is compromised, because what you've got is people saying they're trying to rehabilitate that are actually behind the drugs and the alcohol in the first place. So there's a conflict of interest. So they actually don't want to rehabilitate, but they have to make it seem as though they do. It's just completely flawed. So, you'd have so much more funding available that it would need to be put into bringing back the rationality, all right? Which means you bring back the moral conscience, which means you bring back the creator, I believe, into this world. And you will therefore start to create heaven on earth, all right? That is what I believe will result because of this evidence if it is used in the right way. But it's going to be very difficult for these generations. But the priority is we need to look towards the next generation so they don't live under this system of deceit and crime and lies and suffering and abuse and torture and drugs and blood. All right, that is the goal, is to stop the future generations going through this. Those of us here now, whichever way we look at this, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get a transitional system in place to reach that point. But we have to look towards the future of these children and anyone else, and once it's in place, okay, it will never happen again, everybody. It will never happen again. It will be amazing forever. I have a course on the basics of civil versus criminal law and the basics of citizens' arrests. I'm erased daily. Wow, there you go. There you go. They even brought out, so in England, it's Section 24A of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act of 1984. You have a power to arrest anybody for an indictable offence. Now, you don't have to prove the offence. That's just to arrest. That's just you believe that they are committing that offence. Now, conspiring to commit international fraud is definitely an indictable offence. That means all of them, in theory, if we could, and if I could click my fingers and they were all arrested now, then I'd do that. Then I would do that. But, that's not going to happen. But after I started publicising about the citizens' arrests, they brought out a citizens' arrest group that then publicised them being arrested for trying to conduct citizens' arrests. So that was clearly them trying to dissuade anybody from doing citizens' arrests, because I then checked the name and there was a slight variation in the spelling and it went to JP Morgan, which means linked to the Flemings. So they set that up deliberately, I believe, to deter from my strategy. In other words, that emphasizes now that is the strategy to actually conduct. All right. Nobody can be arrested legally for legally arresting somebody. You just can't do it. You can't do it. They would have to come completely outside of the whole legal system and commit a very serious crime, which obviously they've been doing by having this fraud here. But like they're not doing with my properties, they know that once this exposure takes place and they then continue to move into, that extra coming outside of their own legal laws with this exposure, or the legalities of the legislation they've got in place, then they know there's no going back. They know there's no going back. So, for example, if they was to steal my property, like they said they were going to, they know there's no going back for that, so they haven't. Like they said they were going to take my property coming from that we jointly own, my wife and I. If they were to do that, they know there's no going back, and my wife would be implicated. And I'm sure my wife does not want to be any further implicated in this than she already is, which is massively. And it would boil down to her being arrested, because she would have instructed the solicitor to have done it. So the accountability would fall back on her. So, what was I saying? Someone's put not possible. Sorry, I don't know what you're referring to, not possible, because I'm behind in looking at the comments. So William Wallace, you put Gary, not possible. Someone's put, I'm stalked and abused by men working for Ricky Dearman. Sorry to hear that, Kaylee. Ricky Dearman, if people don't know, is the father accused in the Hampstead child abuse inquiry of not only being involved in raping his own children, but also making them taking part in the decapitation of babies and the drinking of babies' blood in a school and a church. Vanessa's put, I know it's all true. You use some kind of foil over the tent to hide the thermal heat from helicopters. I'm not using any heat source. I haven't done it. I've been in a tent since the 1st of October. And I'm not using a heat source. It may very well be they know where I am. I know they knew where I was previously. They actually someone got in my tent. I know that for a fact, whilst I wasn't there. I know that's what happened. And that was within a day or 2 days of them having a dog tracker, a police dog tracker, plainclothes one, trying to find me through the scent. Gary, it's great to see the amount of dissolved companies since you started your exposure. It's massive. Thank you. It's, last time I looked, at least a fifth of all companies on Companies House have dissolved, but it will be a lot more. Now, there's so many more in the process of what they're actually doing is trying to strike a lot of them from the register, which means there'll be no trace of them. And they're actually dissolving companies in advance, which shouldn't even be possible. The one I looked at the other day in relation to Michael Jackson or Princess Diana, it says it was dissolved days before that date. Well, you can't do that legally. Thoughts on Donald Trump? Needs to be arrested. Needs to be arrested. Massively implicated in every way I've seen. Every single way. Great to see the Ron in the comment section. Did you say found out that you were switched at birth? Oh, talking to Vanessa, are you? Oh, Beth, sorry. Vanessa talking to Beth. No, and then... Someone's put, we have all been double-crossed. Yeshua was hung in a tree. Somebody else has told me that, actually. That's possible. He wasn't the last bloodline in all of this. Possible. Gary, things moving. Gary, things moving, fastening scenes. Food, keep well, fluids. There's time. Gary, things moving, fastening scenes. Things are moving fast behind the scenes, I presume you're meaning there. Food, eat food, keep well, have lots of fluid, there's time. Someone's put, why am I Gary? That's supposed to say, I presume. Yeshua, and Yeshua are the real true names. Is anybody here brave enough to deal with Hampstead? That has been the marker all along. Everyone goes quiet at Hampstead. Why? I'm targeted by the Hampstead mob 24/7. Ricky Dearman links very quickly to CERN Limited, the company, on Company's House. In other words, the Collider technology. Gary, please stop saying creator. We all know God is the creator. Well, God, I've been told that God, as a mockery, it's actually gold, oil and drugs. So I don't use the word God. All right, because that's the sort of thing they would do, everybody. And I believe the 25th of December is a complete and utter mockery, linking in with Saturnalia. And it looks as though they're getting you celebrating the day when they were sacrificing children on the 25th of December. So I'm not going to be using the word God. Gary, was Michael Jackson involved or used as an scapegoat? So what I've researched is information from Michael Jackson. What I mean by that is he was claiming that a particular person, I can't remember his surname, but it's an Italian sounding name, was the devil, and he was calling him the devil. He was the former CEO of Sony. So I've researched that person, go straight into key areas of the centralized criminal network, and I've also then researched those that were involved around the inquiry into Michael Jackson's death. So you had Conrad Murray. Well, Conrad Murray, the research of his name goes quickly to the Dunblane massacre. Well, who was involved in the Dunblane massacre? Who was there? Andrew Murray, same surname of Murray. Well, Murray's mother, massively implicated in this. She links to Donald Trump via the research very quickly. You've also got links from Andrew Murray almost immediately into the Satanic Temple, United Kingdom. That Dunblane massacre was almost certainly part of this. If it really happened, you know, if those children really did die, which we have to assume they did, then it looks as though it was a staged, collaborative, either ritual, but also gave the ability to take guns from the innocents for a future plan against creation, which means the police will have nobody trying to harm them with guns or defending themselves against the police, shall we say. It also gives the ability to launder money through these investigations. All these investigations cost millions, and of course they can steal money from the masses through that, through the public spending money. Katie, yeah. So Michael Jackson, I need to do a bit more research around him specifically, but based on what I've seen so far, it looks as though he was innocent in terms of the children and was trying to protect them. That's what it looks like from my evidence. And that is supported by the likes of Corey Feldman and what was the Home Alone's guy, Macaulay Culkin, who have always stated he was innocent. That looks as though that's going to be the case with what I'm finding. God flooded the earth when the 200 fallen angels came to earth to destroy it. Hence Noah's Ark. Of course, our Creator is good. 100%. Now, these people involved in this are actually part of religious networks. You know, you've got Deborah Fleming, John Fleming connecting in. John Fleming, I've found his name linked to St. Luke's Church, which ties to somebody in Exbourne Manor. There was a St Luke's church just up the road from Exmoor Manor. You've got Justin Welby, former Archbishop of Canterbury, George Carey, former Archbishop of Canterbury, the other one who I can't remember, all implicated in this massively. Deborah Fleming, linked to the church network. They've gone completely against the creator, whichever way you look at this, because you can't be part of a centralised criminal network which causes suffering, victimisation, and is the opposite of truth, and claim that you are working on behalf of the creator. All of these directors at Exmoor Manor, they all need to be arrested. Most of them have been implicated. They've all facilitated the criminal network by removing me as a director. A lot of them voted to remove me when they realised I was getting to the truth in this. Well, there you go. You've got conspiring to allow international fraud to continue by the fact of, here's someone trying to prevent it, and you've literally come along and you have actually removed that person, not knowing obviously at that point how big it was going to get and how it was going to link in with all of the children, the crimes against the children. But you've also got conspiring to allow crimes against children in all of this, obviously, based on all of the evidence at the moment. Conspiring to allow the torture of children. So all of those people, Diane Bisson, Tony Roberts, Alan May, Marcia Lynch, Diana Betts, all need to be arrested, and many, many more who claim to be good people. Someone's put Julius Caesar equals JC. Jesus Christ represents Julius Caesar, JC. Somebody else said that a few months ago, actually. So obviously links in with Rome. Me too, Big Smoke. Thank you so much for acknowledging the children have been so let down. Just to be acknowledged is life-changing. Please stay brave enough to speak for the voices and vulnerable. Thank you. Jesus Christ conscious, for example. Well, look, they've gone against all of these people claiming to worship Jesus Christ. They've gone against Jesus Christ. Okay? Obviously, you can't have and be part of a criminal network. Now, the trouble with Christianity is it looks as though they've used it to their, if you like, advantage, in terms of you can commit sin and continue committing sin as long as you continuously ask for forgiveness. Well, I'm sorry, that does not work. You can't just one day go out and have, commit a crime against a child or whatever. Please ask for forgiveness, and then think that it's okay to do it again the next day. I mean, it's just unreal. That is what the current faith system appears, particularly Christianity, appears to allow to happen. It's just ludicrous. Can someone ask Gary if he is related to a guy called Neil Waterman? No, not as far as I'm aware, Isabella. I actually suspect that my real name, or my original birth name, is probably not going to have been Waterman. I don't know. It may be, it may not be. My dad looks like me. My mum doesn't. My mum, Maureen Waterman, she needs to be arrested. She needs to be arrested. I wouldn't be saying my own family needs to be arrested unless I thought this was huge. Now, it's a very difficult thing for me to do, is to put pictures of my family in a document linking to the crimes against children and the torture of children. But unfortunately, when children are at risk, nothing else comes above that, the most innocent of all. They haven't even had time to choose what's right and wrong, had time to live their life, and here we are with evidence suggesting that they are being subjected to the most heinous crimes imaginable. I have to expose everybody in this. But I don't look like my mum. And my mum's reaction, well, I don't think I look like my mum. Her reaction told me a lot. She literally threw me straight under the bus when I started finding evidence connecting her via her employee to this. And she literally said I was suffering from mental health and I needed medication, even though I had the evidence proving everything. And that was in May last year, and I haven't really spoken to my mum since. I think there's been one message when my uncle died. And of course, I had to miss my uncle's funeral, who I was led to believe was my uncle. And that's down to the likes of my mum and my family members and anyone else that is implicated in this. I can't go anywhere, even to any people's funerals, because I've got to secure the evidence and the exposure moving forward to protect humanity and the bigger issue in all of this. You know, that's a hard thing to do and to say, but unfortunately that's the reality of my situation at the moment. Gary, someone is asking if you're related to Neil Waterman. No, not as far as I'm aware. That's why Westminster use it with House of Lords, with their wigs on wigs made from sheep wool, wolves in sheep's clothing. Judges well wear those wigs. Good point. I think they were going to try and use the what's it called? Oh, what's the Labour? It's gone out of my mind now. But they have the symbol, don't they, as the sheep's in wolf's clothing, or wolf in sheep's clothing. But I think that gave them the ability, and I think this is what they tried recently, to saying it was all to do with this particular group. It's gone out of my mind. Oh, it's gone out of my mind. Someone will know on here if I get to that point on the comments. Yeah, I think that was set up deliberately to use that as a scapegoat by that symbol, by having it, the symbol as the wolf in sheep's clothing. I have a strange accent from Texas. I'm from England, from the southeast of England in Kent. Isabella has a question. Yeah, just put it on here if you have a question. A middle-aged sergeant proves he's a good man. Yeah, so I passed my... Sorry, I forgot to mention that earlier. So when I transferred to Dorset in 2006, I think it was 2007 or 8, I took my sergeant's exam. And I passed part 1 and part 2. There was a part 3 and I decided not to take it because I was worried that I would come away from frontline policing. So I decided to not do it. But because I had part 1 and part 2, it meant I could be an acting sergeant, which means that you can still do the role of a sergeant, but just not with the full pay and the full benefits. So I ended up every now and then being an acting stand-in sergeant. So that meant I was frontline, managing a group of police officers who were responding to all of the jobs coming in from the police. So I was like a supervisor, if you like, for a team of officers. So I did that for a while until I resigned every now and then. Look up the Lost Generation, 1850 to 1915, ties in with asylum, mud floods. Someone else collapsed. It might have been the radiation. Gary, someone wants to know, related to Neil Waterman. No. Targeted individuals share the same stories. My neighbours are paid for and use energy weapons. Absolutely, Gary. Believe what you see with your own eyes only. Yeah, it's very difficult to discern the truth in all of this. But we do have, for whatever reason, I'm going to keep coming back to it, there's a trail of evidence proving that we have an international criminal system in place. So we know that for a fact. Okay. Otherwise, you know, I mean, they could have put it there, of course, deliberately, but it's still there. It still proves that you've got them involved in a criminal system. And of course, what you can then do from that, and what I have done, and I'm still doing, is joining all of the dots from there and realizing that, of course, once you have a criminal financial system, then that provides the motives for so many other things, you know, control of populations, getting rid of people, unaliving people, addictions, you know, land stealing, land grabbing. I mean, someone came on here the other night, and they're probably still on here now. They came on and put we're not going to harm you, we're here to take your land, or we're going to take your land. That's what the comment someone put, as if they are obviously with those behind this. So of course I said, well, what gives you the right, even if that's just what you're doing, but it doesn't look as though it is, because you've got the obviously the crimes against children and all of this. Jordans and Sons. So if you type in Vistra Limited, you'll see Jordans and Sons was its first name, which was incorporated in 1965. That's one of the main companies in the fraud, but they actually go back earlier than that. But that particular company that they're using is one of the main ones. Oh. Sorry, I'm probably going to wrap it up now. But thank you very much for coming on. Really appreciate it. And take care, everybody. And I'll be back on doing a live soon. Just need to build some more evidence. A few other things I need to do. And then I'll be sending the document out to everyone as well. Thank you so much, everyone. Sorry I didn't answer everyone's questions. Take care. Bye.